before we go live.
Has she gone? A couple years ago, didn't you get her tickets to like the SEC championships?
No, to the champ. I think it was the championships were in Tampa a couple years ago. The actual NCAA championships. It is. She knows more about women's gymnastics, collegiate gymnastics, than I think I know about any sport not named the NFL.
Wow.
I mean, like someone's competing. Well, you got to watch her. She's great. You know, this girl's. Oh, I think she's probably the most beautiful girl. Even she's as good looking as Olivia Dunn. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is, what team. She knows. It's uncanny. It actually impresses me to watch it. I'm like, I'll be damned.
Huh.
All right. Jelly beans, favorite Easter candy. Jelly beans, Peeps, chocolate bunny.
Yeah, we're going to take some suggestions because, you know we're going to be missing one. Okay. My mother laid on me last night. She goes, you can't eat meat tomorrow, meaning today. I said, Mom. I go, come on. I said, I know we're Catholic, but we're
I went out to dinner last Friday because it's supposed to be all through Lent, right? And my wife's good, and it doesn't matter for the daughter. But we went to an Italian restaurant. They had veal osso buco on the menu. Do you know what I ordered? I ordered the flippin' veal. Do you know why? Because that's what I like.
Yeah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this Friday. It'll be a football Friday. It'll be a hockey Friday, little hoop, little baseball. Hope your week has gone well. And, well, thanks for ending it with us. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks so much for being with us. How's your week gone?
My week has gone really well, and it got better yesterday. My son arrived in town for Easter for the weekend. So we've got the whole family in the house, which is great. I haven't seen my son in quite a while, so it was great to get Jake back in town, and we're going to play a little golf today and tomorrow. And then my mother was going to make Easter dinner. She said, I'll have everybody over for Easter.
Huh.
Here's what I'm going to make. Great. 2 weeks ago, my wife and my mother share tickets to the theater.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So they have season tickets at Barbara B. Mann, the local theater here. And Les Mis is coming Sunday. So my mom proceeded to tell me, I can't cook dinner. You'll have to.
Oh.
And my wife proceeded to tell me, hey, you're going to have to get my mom at the airport because I'm going to be at the play.
I'm going to be at the theater.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And when I suggested an Uber for my mother-in-law because I wanted to play golf on Easter Sunday, it was met with a little resistance.
How dare you, sir, that my mother is only worthy of an Uber?
Yep. So the taxi cab rides continue for me.
Well,
and they will for another, 6 years. So
is it okay if the son picks up the?
Yeah, we probably could.
I'm just wondering. I mean, how far down the food chain are you allowed to go? I mean, as to who can pick up the mother-in-law before it's offensive.
It's a damn good point, David. It really is. Found out the only thing last night that can keep my wife awake past 9:30. Apparently, it's college gymnastics. The second semifinal started at 9. She watched it for the duration.
Now, is college gymnastics the equivalent of like the Frozen Four to us, or is it bigger? Or
There are 8 in the semifinals. There are 2 sessions of 4. The top 2 advance.
No, I meant just in terms of significance. You and I geek out over the Frozen Four.
Oh, she knows more about. I believe that my wife knows more about college gymnastics than I do about any sport not named the NFL. Like,
Damn.
she is all in, knows who the competitors are for. I mean, of the 8 teams, and Michigan State luckily qualified. They weren't supposed to. Of the 8 teams, that was the only team she wasn't aware of damn near every girl on their team. It's uncanny. I've never seen anything like it.
Did you bust your chops? Did you say, you're going to have to start taping gymnastics on Big Ten Network? You could look right at her and go,
Start. She's been doing it for 3 years.
Well, I know she had done it on, ESPNU and SEC Network. I just figured if, she wasn't super familiar with the upstart Spartans of Michigan State, it's because she's not taping her Big Ten gymnastics. I just thought it was something you could, bust her chops about and go, you're not taping enough stuff.
Right. Well, probably would have been the case before UCLA joined the conference, but now she knows she's well aware of Big Ten gymnastics.
That's right.
But that was our night last night watching. I had the Tigers on. Fortunately, they were done by 9:00 or thereabouts, maybe 10 after 9, and we went right into collegiate gymnastics.
Well, listen, is there any gymnastics coming up in the next few weeks, especially in the first round of the NBA and NHL playoffs? You could watch the late games, on your TV if she's going to be watching gymnastics on the other.
Trust me, on Saturday, the finals, we'll be watching. It'll be a big event in the house. The mother and the daughter get into the gymnastics.
So instead of having the mother and the mother-in-law in town and, babysitter to watch the daughter for you two to go out. Oh, no.
No. We'll be locked in.
All
Gators didn't qualify. Big upset.
That is a big upset.
Missouri knocked them out.
With the men's basketball team at Florida winning the Natty, it's funny how so many sportscasters from around the country all of a sudden came to the conclusion that maybe the University of Florida has the best athletic department in the country. It's like those of us in Florida have been like, we've been trying to tell you they damn near win in everything outside of women's basketball. Honestly, they're good in everything.
Well, football.
Well, come on now.
Football. No. Football. Let's get to 9. Let's baby steps to 9.
But we got 2 natties on the board though this century.
What have you done for me lately, David?
Well, I understand, but hey, to a Gator fan, they've really reduced it. We're like, lately, how about November and December? We're doing fine. We finished strong. We've got ourselves a quarterback who doesn't want to transfer.
There you go. He is happy with the deal he received from the school that he is at.
There's a report out there that he's actually giving
a
decent chunk of his NIL money back to support the women's sports at Florida. They'll be building this kid a statue while he's still playing.
Got that right. You got that right. Winning the hearts and minds of Gator Nation, David. He is you're right. They finished incredibly strong. He looks like he can play. Yep. And on top of it, he's doing all the right things. That's a pretty good combination.
Sure is. Hope he stays healthy for the next couple of years. It'd be nice to see. So end of an era, speaking of college sports.
Yep.
End of an era. Do you know Lee Corso suffered that stroke in 2009? 2009. And credit to him, all the hard work he put in, but also credit to ESPN for staying with him. And it wasn't always easy. And certainly he has slowed down in recent years. But Lee Corso has helped make College Game Day. And Lee Corso through ESPN made the announcement yesterday in which he said, yeah, it's time. I'd like to do one more show, week 1, pick a spot. And I'm torn because apparently the first place he ever put the headgear on was Ohio State.
It was.
But Corso, if you were to connect him with a school, it's either Florida State or Indiana. But clearly Florida State means a lot to him. And Florida State's hosting Alabama that day. I think, does Ohio State have Texas? And Florida State's got Alabama. That's like two of the top three choices as to where it is game day can go. August 30th, I believe the day is, week 1, first full Saturday of college football. And that'll be Corso's last show. He will have just turned 90 3 weeks earlier. And so
286 and 144. That's his headgear record.
Right.
286 and 144.
It's just under a perfect 2-to-1 ratio. Correct. So basically 67% for Corso on his straight up picks. And he'll have one more to make. So a lot of people think that they're going to send him to Columbus. You know, I'm wondering, does he get a vote? And does it matter to him where, in fact, he goes?
Herb Street did a couple interviews yesterday. I caught part of one that he said when he first did he talked about the first headgear, and he goes, here's this guy in a suit with Brutus on his head, and he's waving like he's in a pageant. And he said, there's at that point, you got to go back now. There's a few hundred people there. It's not like it is now.
Right.
For game day.
1996, first time he put the headgear on.
And Herb Street said, he goes, I just thought this was a one-off. I thought it was kind of silly. But I didn't realize the other schools started calling. Hey, can Lee Corso wear our headgear? And the schools thought it was fantastic in getting the notoriety to their mascot head or whatever the case may be. That, and Craig James did the show with Corso before Herb Street.
Correct.
And as Herb Street pointed out, Craig James was a little more antagonistic towards Corso. They would argue and yell at one another and get into it. Whereas Herb Street was always very respectful.
Deferential, yes.
And he said in the first year, one of the producers told him, you're not going to last on this show. You're too nice. You're too nice to Lee. It's not going to work. And Herb Street said, he goes, at that point, I wish they would have told me it before because I don't have that in me. It's not who I am. It would have been fake. But obviously with the two of them, it worked and worked really well.
Game day went on the road for the first time for Florida State Notre Dame in November of 93. It was a studio show for the first 6 years. Tim Brando was actually the first host of game day. And Corso was just one of 6 people on it. The main guy with Brando was Beano Cook when the show first started. And then it became Fowler and Corso and Craig James. That first show that went on the road, I think Herb Street's still in college even. I think 93 might have been his senior year with the Buckeyes. And but by the time he donned the Buckeyes, helmet, if you will, in 96, Herb Street was a part of the show and the rest, as they say. But Reese Davis last night said, we're not going to keep doing the headgear.
Good.
Reese said, I will tackle someone if they try to put headgear on the set. He goes, absolutely not. That's Lee, and that's only Lee. Because I wondered if they would continue it with McAfee.
Not Saban?
Now, I do think it would be great television if, like, once a year, Saban donned the headgear. He, just for the heck of it.
The only thing that would be great is in the last game when Corso gets ready to make his pick, that all of them put headgear on. Herb Street, Saban, McAfee, Desmond, Reese Davis. I think if they were all wearing the if it's the Buckeyes and they pick Ohio State and they're all in Brutus head and they're waving, I think that would be a poetic way for the show to go out with Lee Corso.
I wonder if they should get them all Corso heads so that they all put Corso on while Corso makes his pick on the game.
Love it. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower is so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has the look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right. Jelly beans, Peeps, Cadbury cream egg, Reese's peanut butter egg.
All right. We'll go through it on the air. Okay. We'll see if anybody else can nominate something else to infiltrate that top four.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us on this Friday, jam-packed Friday of guests. Steve Carney will join us. We'll talk more Lightning than we will Rays. Got a couple of guys geeked up for the Lightning Panthers series. Mark, I wasn't paying attention. I just assumed that the Lightning Panthers series started this weekend, Monday at the latest. Booked all the guests on the show, preparing for the show. Right before the show, I took a look at the NHL schedule. I went, wait a minute. They don't play till Tuesday?
So we could just rerun this show on Tuesday and it would apply. No one would know the difference. Pat, you throw it, we got to come back for David Sampson. Outside of that, we could just rerun this whole sucker.
Yeah, we could run. We got Steve Carney talking Lightning, Armando Velez talking Panthers. We can run Pat, a few days before the draft. And, we'll just do Sampson live at 7. Otherwise, smoke them if you got them.
There you go.
Yeah. But we also have Pat Micheletti to talk about the other series that are going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And apparently they'll all get underway Saturday and Sunday.
Well, not all.
Not all. No, they are really getting off to a staggered start here. 2
games Saturday, 3 games Sunday.
Yeah.
4 on Monday, 4 on Tuesday. We're flying by Tuesday.
Wow. My goodness. I mean, the NBA is getting right at it. NBA's done play-in games, and game 1's taking place this weekend.
David, you brought this up earlier in the week with the numbers of the Super Bowl, the NCAA college football playoff, women's college basketball, the Masters, all these TV numbers that were up. And when we say women's college basketball, you throw out the Caitlin Clark years. But hockey's going to take a bath ratings-wise.
Probably.
A bath.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I've racked my brains for 2 days trying to figure out the way people are going to watch. And I don't know. I don't know if in the States, if Toronto made a run all the way to the final and you'd have that incredibly long drought on the heads of an American sports fan, would that interest them? Not sure.
Well, the one thing I will say, though, I'm finding it remarkable the legs that this Ovechkin story has. Did you see the reaction that Alex Ovechkin got in Pittsburgh last night?
Right.
For those that don't follow hockey, the Penguins and the Caps have been rivals since Crosby and Ovechkin both came into the league together in 2005. And for the most part, the Penguins have owned the rivalry. When push came to shove and those two would meet in the playoffs, the Penguins would win, oftentimes in Game 7. And then Sid and company would go to the finals, which they've done 4 times, and they've won it 3. And Crosby had 3 cups on the mantle before Ovechkin ever made it out of the second round of the playoffs. But Ovechkin got his cup 7 years ago, and we all know recently he passed Gretzky, all-time leading goal scorer. So Ovechkin scores last night in Pittsburgh, final game of the regular season. The crowd is chanting OV, OV. They have a highlight video for him. he gets a standing ovation in Pittsburgh. I mean, I'd argue the only team that a Penguins fan over the last 15 plus years has disliked more than the Caps is the Flyers.
I would agree with that.
Maybe the Rangers. They've met a lot in the playoffs. Pittsburgh had the edge for the longest time. Over the last 10 years, the Rangers have beaten them every time. But, I mean, this has been a pretty intense rivalry.
Right, but think about it from this standpoint, David. And you're right, it's an intense rivalry and all that. First off, Pittsburgh sucks this year. They knew that was the last game. This was their last game. Mm-hmm. Crosby scored, by the way, too, which makes it poetic that they both were on the scoreboard.
Yes.
And Pittsburgh won, so they're going to be a little more gracious. But this is a town that's had two of the greatest players to have ever laced them up.
Yes.
And it's just, to me, respect for another great. They know what a great hockey player looks like. They've seen it a lot over the last 30 plus years.
And after the game, Crosby and Moulton hand Ovechkin a Rolex to honor him breaking Gretzky's record, and they're taking pictures together and what have you, and they're just like, I'll be damned. By the way, Crosby just voted by his peers the best all-around player in the game at 36. And Ovechkin last night finished what was, I want to make sure I got this right, a 44-goal season in which he missed a month with a broken leg at age 39.
At 65 games played, scored 44 goals. But you're right, and that's it's Toronto or it's Washington, because I think, to me, if you could get a Washington-Toronto Eastern Conference final, or better yet, in the States, I think a Washington-Florida final. I do think the Four Nations would help the Florida Panthers cause. But out west, I mean,
I know.
I have no faith in Edmonton. If Edmonton got there with the best player in the world, people would watch. I have no faith they can do that.
Meanwhile, plenty of opportunity in the NBA. Obviously, you've got the Celtics, who are heavy favorites to go to at least the conference finals. For that matter, you got the Lakers as the 3 seed. They're favored to go to at least the second round. And even though Golden State's a 7 seed, they're a betting favorite to go to at least the second round. So plenty of chances for ratings in the NBA playoffs, seemingly very few opportunities. But maybe, like we talked about, this Ovechkin storyline, maybe it's taken hold. I mean, you break it's kind of like if the day ever comes that an NFL quarterback breaks an all-time Tom Brady record. I mean, you would think that person, whatever regard they were held in up until the moment they break that all-time Brady record, that then that person will enter a very different stratosphere. But we'll see.
We have a poll question ready to go. I mean, literally all I have to do is press post. But David wanted to hold off and get listener participation into the choices.
I just want to make sure that we're not missing one. Like, upon further review, earlier in the week, we thought we had that game show question nailed. Wheel, Jeopardy, Price is Right, Family Feud. And we basically heard from our audience anyway, which said, yeah, you can take Wheel off. Wheel's not big with our audience. Wheel could have been replaced by, and, there was Hollywood Squares, Match Game, you name it. But so I just want to make sure that here are our 4 choices and we're not missing one.
All right, jelly beans. I mean, that is an Easter staple.
Correct.
Peeps. God awful, but also an Easter staple.
Awful.
The Cadbury cream egg.
Okay.
And then this is where I struggle, because I think this one would win, and I think if I replaced it with the other one, you could either go chocolate bunny or the Reese's peanut butter egg. And chocolate bunny is probably the oldest, most traditional Easter candy that you get. I mean, who didn't get a chocolate bunny as a kid? bite them damn ears off right away. Just boom, gone.
Absolutely. So that's our list. Are we missing one that's more popular? And not necessarily with you, because everybody, what about this? That's for you. But I mean, with the masses, just want to make sure we get the question right. That's all. Favorite Easter candy. So
21,000 is the text line. We will take your suggestions. We will get the poll question up probably at the beginning of the next segment. As David mentioned, we have a terrific show as we're gearing up for the playoffs in hockey. Steve Carney will join us, Pat Kirwan to talk the draft, Pat Micheletti, and Armando Velez to talk the Panthers. The starting five, that's next.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So we're debating over the kind of egg. That's about it. And Paul, I don't understand. Oh, Caitlin Clark. So the guy had a Caitlin Clark pickleball jersey. Huh. Or a basketball jersey while playing pickleball. Gotcha.
Yeah, we could take Peeps out and put the Reese's peanut butter egg in with the cream egg and the chocolate bunny. Might be a more fair fight. I don't see Peeps winning.
No, who even likes Peeps?
My wife
Really?
loves them.
Huh.
Likes them stale, too.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Steve Carney will join us 1 hour from now. We'll talk as much or more Lightning than we will Rays. You know, Rays got off to that 4-1 start. I think they've lost 10 of 14 since. Remember we said all these home games, they need to put a gaudy record up there? That ain't happening.
It is not at all. And pitching's been fine.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean,
yeah.
For the most part, their pitching's been fine. They gave up 6 yesterday, but largely their pitching's been okay.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't score any runs.
No.
I mean, their run differential is a positive one. But if you take the, 15-16-1 game against Boston out, then it's about even.
Pat Kirwan will join us in a little more than an hour as we're less than a week away from the NFL draft. We'll talk NHL playoffs with Pat Micheletti in a couple hours. And the bonus hour, we'll focus in on the Florida Panthers. Panthers and Lightning for the 4th time this decade in the playoffs. And they had never met in the playoffs before this decade. All right. Right now it's time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
Well, nothing happened yesterday, but tonight it's win or go home time. Miami and Atlanta, 7 o'clock TNT. The Heat, a 1.5-point road favorite against Trae Young and the Hawks. Winner of Miami-Atlanta enters as the 8th seed in the East, so they'll get a best of 7 with Cleveland. And oh, by the way, they'll be playing Sunday night. Meanwhile, 9:30 tonight on ESPN. So they split networks tonight. TNT early, ESPN late. Mavs and Grizzlies. Are you surprised Memphis is a 6.5-point favorite?
Well, I'm very surprised, David, because yesterday, while watching a little bit of the 4-letter network, and the top news comes on the ticker. And I'm always interested in the top news because I'm like, what if this has something? We're going to do the show about this tomorrow. What's the top news? Ja Morant didn't practice, and he's a game-time decision.
Huh.
But if he's a game-time decision, they must believe he's playing if he's a 6.5-point favorite. They are a 6.5-point favorite.
So 9:30 tonight on the 4-letter network, Dallas and Memphis. Winner advances to the Western Conference playoffs, and they get a date with Oklahoma City. By the way, they have to play 1 o'clock Sunday. So quick turnaround for the winner of Dallas, Memphis. Scott Perry, who was with the Sacramento Kings, left to become GM of the Knicks, got replaced by the current regime. Scott Perry apparently is going to go back to Sacramento and be GM of the Kings. NHL, final day of the regular season was yesterday. Rangers shut out Tampa Bay 4-0. Mark, it kind of is a synapse for how your franchise is going here lately. They give up the tying goal to the Leafs with less than 2 seconds to go in regulation. And then Toronto beats Detroit in overtime 4-3.
It is a monster offseason for this franchise. I mean, the Iser plan is not working, but there's a lot of good young kids in the pipeline. But I'm telling you, they're getting a little fed up in the Motor City about missing the playoffs every year.
Might have to, and you guys should have money to sign one or two players.
It's just whether or not they can get him. You know, would Mitch Marner come and be a Detroit Red Wing? I doubt it.
Ottawa beat Carolina 7-5, but the big story is Brady Tkachuk returned to action. Now, he wasn't that good. Played like 14 shifts, was a -2. But both Tkachuk brothers have been nursing injuries here ever since the Four Nations tournament. Brady Tkachuk back for Ottawa. It'll be Ottawa and Toronto in the first round of the NHL playoffs. Ovechkin got his 44th goal of the year, number 897 of his illustrious career. Crosby with a goal and a helper, over a 90-point season for Sid. Penguins 5-2 over the Caps. Penguins are done. Caps are the 1 seed in the East. Columbus, what a terrific year for the Blue Jackets. Predicted to be maybe the worst team in the Eastern Conference, then the Johnny Gaudreau tragedy, and they damn near made the playoffs. And they whooped up on the Islanders in the finale yesterday, 6-1. Calgary came within 21 seconds of making the playoffs, as it turned out. They beat the LA Kings last night in LA 5-1. If Minnesota hadn't scored with 21 seconds left in regulation, Calgary would be the final playoff team in the Western Conference. And Lindy Ruff, 2 tours of duty as head coach of the Sabres, got win number 900 of his career last night. Buffalo 5-4 over Philly. 2 playoff games tomorrow, both on TNT. St. Louis and Winnipeg, Colorado and Dallas. It's 2 of the 5 best teams in the league right there. I don't care what the standings say.
I think the winner of that series is going to the Stanley Cup final.
Well, you and I both think the winner of Tampa Bay, Florida is going to the Stanley Cup final also.
But I put it this way. I think I think it's harder for the winner of Tampa Bay, Florida to get there. I think their road is much more difficult.
Ooh,
I
really?
do. Yeah, even with Vegas and Winnipeg, I do.
Huh. Interesting. By the way, the Panthers Lightning series doesn't start till Tuesday.
But we'll preview the hell out of it today.
And right on through the weekend, in fact. Live shows out of nowhere, Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday morning. Baseball. The Junior Caminero with another homer. Rays had a 3-1 lead on the Yankees. Then they scored 2 in the 5th, 3 in the 6th. Yankees 6-3 over Tampa Bay. Orioles won their first series of this season. Wow. Beating Cleveland 6-2. Arizona's won 5 in a row. They swept the Marlins 6-4. Okay. You did 7,400 game 1, around 8,400 game 2. Yesterday afternoon, a mighty nooner, over under 9,000.
Under.
You are correct, sir. 86-16. Biggest crowd of the series. For the Marlins, who barely drew 24,000 for the 3-game set against the Diamondbacks. And both teams had winning records when the series began. Mets scored 4 in the second, beat the Cardinals 4-1. Philly scored 5 in the first, beat the Giants 6-4. This is a hell of a game in Pittsburgh. Hope you got there in time, because O'Neal Cruz led off the bottom of the first for the Pirates with a solo homer, and that was the only run of the day. Pittsburgh 1-0 over the Nats.
Yeah, 10 hits, home run on the first at-bat of the home side of the first inning. Oh, boy. That's a barn burner.
Seattle, 2 in the 9th to tie, 4 in the 10th to win it. 11-7 over Cincinnati. Cal Raleigh with another homer. He's got 8 3 weeks into the season. which is okay because he's one behind Major League leader Tyler Soderstrom. Can anybody tell me who Tyler Soderstrom plays for? Don't cheat. You're all cheating. You still don't know, do you? The Athletics. He's got 9 home runs. Tyler Soderstrom. A's 8-0 over the 4-14 White Sox, who at one point were 2-2. Tigers handed the Royals their 4th straight loss. Detroit's in first. I mean, not an awesome record, but 11-8. I'll take it. They're in first by a game and a half in the Central. 6-1 Detroit over Kansas City.
Play every 20 games, 3-4 above 500. You're going to do just fine when it's all over at the end of the season.
Well, there's no doubt. Here's what I would ask you. Because obviously, if you go 12-8, that's 600 baseball. You obviously would take that over a full season. What if you go 11-9 every 20 games? Would you take that? That's 88 to 90 wins. Do you think that's enough to win the Central?
I do. This year I do, David.
So you would take basically 11-9 for every 20-game stretch for your Tigers and see where you are with 2 games left.
I think that would be enough because I don't know if Kansas City or Cleveland can do much better than that. And it looks like the Twins, they're off to a rough start. They can turn things around, but they're the Twins. They'll get 6 injuries between now and the 4th of July.
Texas with a 3-game sweep of the Angels, 5-3. So the White House and Major League Baseball let us know yesterday that Commissioner Manfred met with President Trump on Wednesday. They really didn't divulge what they talked about. The White House said the president's a big baseball fan. Oh, okay. The only topic that people think could have been front and center is that President Trump has said he's going to fully pardon Pete Rose. Now, Pete Rose didn't go to prison for betting on baseball. Pete Rose served 3 months in jail because he didn't pay taxes on the cards and hats that he signed at card shows. So that's what he's going to be pardoned for. But I think the president is trying to get Pete Rose posthumously elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Have to figure it was one of the things that the two discussed. And Manfred did say shortly after Rose's death, when his family reached out and said, hey, now that he's passed, could you give it one final look over? And Manfred said he would do it. So anyway, White House and Major League Baseball both releasing a statement yesterday. College football, we talked about it earlier. Lee Corso is going to retire. He turns 90 in early August. Week 1 of the college football season is Saturday, August 30th. Corso will be on game day for one final pick and headgear. Corso's been with Game Day since it started in 1987 as a studio show. First time they went on the road was November of 93 for Florida State Notre Dame. First time Corso wore headgear when making a pick at the end of the show. 1996, he picked the Buckeyes to win. That's why many think his final show will be in Columbus when Texas plays at Ohio State. All I know is Alabama plays at Florida State, and we all know Corso's love for the Seminoles. But Corso is 66% accurate on his picks. Mark, I don't know if you saw the post that USC sent out in which they professed their love and admiration for Corso and said that he was 17-0 when he picked the Trojans to win.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Golf, PGA Tour in 2 different places. They got the small field, big money event at the Heritage in South Carolina. Justin Thomas with a 10 under 61.
Tied a course record with that 61 yesterday.
Remember, he put a 10 under on the board at the Players in round 2. JT with a 3-shot lead over Russell Henley and some guy named Scotty Scheffler. Meanwhile, the rest of the tour is at Punta Cana. Joel Dahman, he put a 10 under 62 on the board to have a 2-shot lead. Our buddy George McNeil with a nice 4 under round, trying to, get himself ready for when he turns 50 late in the year and the Champions Tour. Frankie Sappin continues to struggle after a good start. He made a couple $100,000 pretty quickly on tour. He's struggling to make cuts right now. He shot 1 over yesterday. Going to have to go about 4 or 5 under today if he wants to make the cut there. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories in Punta Cana that you needed to know here on Miller and Moulton.
So I have thrown out Peeps. I have made the executive decision that Peeps suck. And if you like Peeps and you were going to vote for them, I'm sorry. They are no longer part of our survey. I think they would have been like Wheel of Fortune. I think they would have gotten 5% or less of the vote.
Okay.
I couldn't take off jelly beans. To me, they're an Easter staple. And I know Peeps are too, but again, they suck. I went with the Reese's peanut butter egg, the Cadbury cream egg, and the good old chocolate bunny.
Okay.
I think if the chocolate bunny or the Reese's peanut butter egg stood alone without the other, it would run away with the competition.
It's going to surprise you, but I'm going to vote jelly beans. Now, I love the colored ones, though.
What's your favorite?
Red. But I love the colored ones, though. The whole black and white ones, whatever. Give me some colors.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, Tadalafil, and Viagra, Sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American-made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ooh. Isn't tax evasion a federal crime? Nix?
Yes, it is.
So I think he can pardon them. Want to have some fun here?
I always want to have fun.
You and Cyndi Lauper?
I was so funny you said that. I was trying to figure out how to work Cyndi Lauper into that. That is funny.
Let's just date ourselves a little bit.
Hey, did you ever reach out to Heitner? He's been putting a lot of stuff out there.
He's on vacation this week. He didn't want to do anything this week.
Oh, I just reading his newsletter on LinkedIn about the whole NIL and the House settlement, and he's obviously well in tune with that.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to do anything this week.
Good. I mean, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's pretty timeless.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Hope you've had a good week, and thanks for spending another part of it with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We have a poll question. It's predictable, Easter being Sunday and all. So we asked you your favorite Easter candy. What were our final 4 choices again?
Jelly beans, the Reese's peanut butter egg, the Cadbury cream egg, and the good old-fashioned chocolate bunny.
I voted jelly beans. I'm pretty simple. Complex in some areas, very simple in others. So that's my vote. Vote accordingly. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. Hey, can you put your fun hat on for a second? And I'm asking everybody else right now. Can you put your fun hat on?
Fun hat.
Yeah, your fun hat. Okay, let's have some fun. Let's be a little creative. If you were to become a rapper, what would your name be? I ask because did you see the story yesterday? He's still very young. He's not that far removed from being a first-round pick. But Kadarius Toney retired yesterday. It's remarkable. I mean, he helped the Chiefs win a Super Bowl. He made 2 huge special teams plays in that 38-35 win over the Eagles. They don't win the Super Bowl without Kadarius Toney. And yet, otherwise, he was largely a bust for both the Giants and the Chiefs. So Toney announced his retirement, and he said, from now on, I want to be considered a rapper. Okay. Well, then he said, and here's how I'd like to be referred to from this point forward. Young Joka, spelled Yungjoka. Okay. And now, Young Joka.
Mama going to call him Clay? I'm going to call him Clay.
But I don't know how many of us have ever thought about this. I don't know how many of us.
And you know, David, I adore this question. I really do. Because first off, the budding hip hop star that David Moulton probably is,
right?
You can think about how long,
right.
And the fact that, you know, if you were a rapper, what would your name be? This show,
right?
We are in some of the oldest markets in America.
Yes, we are.
And I would argue some of the whitest markets.
Without question. Yes. Yep. And that's good because arguably I'm one of the 10 whitest talk show hosts ever.
And when you think about hip hop, you think Miller and Moulton.
Absolutely, you do. But I'm assuming, and come on now, tell me if I'm off base. I am assuming most of our audience is a little hipper on the hip scale than I am.
You think so?
I think it's hard not to be. Right. I just voted jelly beans as my favorite Easter candy. I mean,
I think we have a better shot of the Huey Lewis song, It's Hip to Be Square, than having a hip audience on this show.
Well,
I don't look and I adore our audience, David. I mean, come on. It's our livelihood. Without our audience, we're nothing. And so 21,000, you can text your rapper name.
Yes. What would
or what I think would be more fun?
Oh no, you're not going to do that.
Is come up with rap names for Miller and or Moulton. Because to me, you know, you're going to say I want to be whatever. I don't know you. I don't know what your real name is. The joke probably won't fly without a long explanation. But you know, as Sonny's already nominating a couple for David,
right?
Supersize and Fat Wallet.
I like Supersize. I do. I mean, you know, you can have Jelly Roll. Why can't you have Supersize?
Exactly. You could be Jelly Bean instead of Jelly Roll.
There you go. But anyway, so he is now going by the name Young Joka.
Okay.
Yungjoka, otherwise known as Kadarius Toney. I mean, Kanye's Ye, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, you could also say Kanye's nuts, but that's a whole other story. Don't think he's officially going by that moniker. But anyway, you could
Young Joker. That's Kadarius Toney.
Young Joker. Yeah. Yeah. And changing the spelling of both names. That's his rap moniker. And I'm just wondering if we all had to rename ourselves, like we ended up entering this TV show and it ends up being a rap contest. And it's like, well, we can't go by that name. It's like boxing. Remember, they go and everybody comes up with a nickname for you. And some of the nicknames are good. And some of the nicknames are like, wow, you guys had nothing that day, right? Like Iron Mike Tyson. Come on. I mean, really? That's what we came up with? It's not James Bone Crusher Smith.
Which was marvelous Marvin Hagler,
outstanding. But so just, in honor of Kadarius Toney, by the way, what a NFL career that was, man.
And now he is Young Joker. I've not sampled any of his music. I may do so after the show.
I haven't either. But, just taking a crack at of if, you can think of it for yourself. If you all of a sudden, you switch careers here and you're going to become a rapper, what do you want your moniker to be? Mark, I do like the fact that we could let the audience have some fun at our expense. Okay. If all of a sudden we were going to be, a couple of rap artists, what would be appropriate names? So,
and I'm struggling to come up with my rap name. I really am, David. My guess is you gave this an ounce of thought and may have one for yourself.
No, I didn't. I just thought of the idea. Like, am I allowed to go with White Castle? Or is that going to be copyright infringement and I'm going to get sued and all that?
I mean, MC Lava for you. You've always wanted Lava as part of your. You've yearned for Lava to be part of a nickname, Twitter handle, anything.
It's only because people would mispronounce my last name, and so to get them to pronounce it correctly, I would just say Moulton, as in lava. Oh, okay. So yeah, Lava Man, something like that. I mean, I don't know. Is Lava Man cool enough? I mean, Jelly Roll, Lava Man? No?
Jelly Roll, huh?
Jelly Roll. Well, I mean, first
Don't
off,
we already have one of those?
we do. And he's a big guy, and,
Right.
and he's named after food. I mean, how could I not like him?
I mean, could be MC Twinkie.
It just...
I did like the suggestion in the Twitch chat room of quarter pounder.
How about if we want to go bigger than that? Can we go half pounder?
Well, maybe double quarter pounder.
Something to do with a buffet. Can I work that in? How about this? How about this? And now, all you can eat. No?
And all you can drink. We'd be a duet.
Just so, in honor of Young Joker.
I like it.
I just want us all today on this, Good Friday. You're going through the day. You could have some fun with it at work, even if you're going to work today. You could just be like, hey, you see Kadarius Toney's a rapper now? He changed his name. If I was a rapper, what would you call me?
And maybe you could do it for your boss. Spring it on the boss. Give the boss a rap nickname today and see how well that flies.
Right. And he goes, what are you doing? Or she goes, what are you doing? You go like, well, it's in honor of Kadarius Toney. He retired, became a rapper, changed his name. So I'm just thinking about you, giving you a rap name.
Yeah, some of these rap names are eerily close to like a wrestling name too. I don't know where the line crosses with that one.
I don't either.
But 21,000's the text line, Twitch chat room, YouTube chat room as well. We see everything that you type from either of the places where you can watch Miller and Moulton, youtube.com/Miller and Moulton, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. And obviously you can get us still on the radio and through a bunch of different apps.
I appreciate the Lost Wallet suggestion as my name. Thanks. Nice to know that'll never die. Yep. Okay. That's fine.
It won't either.
No.
And
really
I'll
won't.
never let it.
No, you won't.
Because
Thanks.
sooner or later, about once every 4 or 5 months, someone finds a wallet after 4 months of it being gone, and it makes my good, bad, and ugly just to remind us of that.
Yep. It made it from one side of the Atlantic to another, and then here it is, some guy from Scotland, and it shows up in Rhode Island. Yep.
So play-in games tonight. NHL playoffs start tomorrow. The NBA gets going in full this weekend as well. A little golf, a little baseball, and the draft is just around the corner. We will hit all of it today in some way, shape, or form.
How about curmudgeon? What if I went as that as my rap name?
That works.
It could work, I think, for a lot of our listeners.
I think MC Snark is better than MC Curmudgeon.
I was just thinking curmudgeon. Okay, and now curmudgeon.
Hit those beats and let Moulton freestyle. That's something maybe a rap battle between Miller and Moulton is upcoming on twitch.tv. We shall see.
Salary cap? Can I go as salary cap? No? I don't know. I'll work on it. Steve Carney in about 25 minutes. We'll come up with a name for him too. Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that quite frankly saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Oh. That's a good name, Sonny, for Mark. Is that what you're going with? Gas station taco? Ooh.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for being with us, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Steve Carney, a little more than 15 minutes time. Talk mostly Lightning as they gear up for the Panthers in the playoffs. Pat Kirwan to talk all things NFL, less than a week out from the draft. He'll join us at the top of the hour. Pat Micheletti will talk the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs with Pat in a little more than an hour. And in our bonus hour, Armando Velez to join us to talk about the Panthers. They got a lot of injuries, a couple of suspensions. Talk about the Panthers' point of view, getting ready for their first-round series against the Lightning. All coming up here on Miller and Moulton. Our poll question, a simple one. What's your favorite Easter candy? I'm not a big Easter candy guy.
Or early voting, the Reese's peanut butter egg is doing very well. I'm not surprised.
Okay.
I happened to go down a video short hole the other day, and it's an old clip of Jon Stewart talking about losing the Christians versus Jews holidays. He's like, we've already lost Christmas and did Easter versus Passover. I don't know if I've ever laughed that hard. Don't know if I've ever laughed that hard. Showing, the Passover food versus what we give kids as Christians to Easter. Yep. Let's see, Christ died and rose again 3 days later. So bam, and he pulls out a thing of candy.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. So the Reese's peanut butter egg is a good one. David, we got a lot of texts with potential rap names for those, you mostly.
Okay.
And a few for me.
All right. For those that missed it, last segment, we brought up the fact that Kadarius Toney has retired and he's in his mid-20s from football. And now he's just going to be a rapper, and he's changed his name to Young, Y-U-N-G, Joka, J-O-K-A. That's his rap moniker, Young Joka.
I love the originality of about 4 of you that sent in Eminem. I think that one's already taken.
Right.
Melonhead.
It's funny. A buddy of mine, my lawyer buddy, Bob, he sent me 2 texts during the commercial break. Okay. Now remember, this is a friend, one of my better friends in the world. Okay. In which he said, maybe something to do with your large noggin, too big head.
Well, we've got Melonhead, the Scranton Pounder. Big fan of that one. Our rap group name for one is Snark and MC Onions. Crumb Munchin as instead of Curmudgeon. I think that's kind of, it fits the two. And then one guy said DJ Snowflake. I'm trying to figure out how you and I are considered snowflakes.
Wow.
Yeah, do explain, sir.
Yeah, things we have never been called. Man.
But I saw something during the break. Sorry, David, but I saw something during the break, and you talked about this a little last week. I didn't realize the extent of it. The Pirates and their fan base are at odds with one another.
Oh, yeah.
They hate the owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that they chanted "sell the team" during the home opener. What I didn't know is that the owner decided to take a stroll through the ballpark on opening day. And that's how the Sell the Team chant started. There's like a spiraling walkway in the outfield to get down, but it's good views and people take it. He decided he was going to do that. And that's when they started. But the other thing they did, and a lot of teams do this, you've seen them at other places. They had, when they built PNC Park, they had an area of bricks that fans could buy.
Right.
And dedicate to, themselves, a loved one, a family member that was a Pirate fan. And in fact, a writer for the Tribune Review, Joe Rutter, his late father bought him a bigger brick. And the message said, Joe Rutter, Pirate sports writer, Joe's dad, Tom Rutter. Just a nice gesture that he saw. So they renovated this area outside where the bricks were.
No.
They ripped them all up.
What?
And sent them to the dump.
What?
Now, for instance, the Guardians had a similar thing at their stadium. They renovated it. The Guardians either called, emailed, or sent letters to everybody that had a brick and said, hey, we're redoing this. They're going to be torn up. If you want your brick, come get your brick. The Pirates did not inform any of their fans about it. And the bricks were all taken to a dump.
Man, they are.
That you got the Clemente
right
sign that they took down to sell a vodka seltzer drink.
And don't get me wrong, we know you need alcohol to watch the Pirates on a regular basis. We know that. But I got to admit, I don't even understand the whole Guardians thing. To me, if you're redoing the area, don't you then have to return it and put the bricks back? Don't you at least have to move it to a different section? You could call people and say, hey, just so you know, you're not down the right field line anymore. When you come, okay, your bricks are going to be here. Man.
Yeah, it's something.
Listen, I forget who's the big baseball guy for ESPN now. Okay, he came over from Yahoo. Okay, he has called for Rob Manfred to get involved. Jeff Passan, he said the other day, he goes, this is a disgrace, all right, and quite frankly, this man is ruining a proud franchise that should be a really good, solid franchise with a gorgeous stadium and a loyal fan base. And he called on the commissioner to get involved.
Their opening day payroll this year was $13 million less than their opening payroll in 2016. MLB has nearly doubled their revenues in that time.
Did you see the stat about the last time in free agency they offered someone a multi-year contract?
Well, I did see their largest free agent signing ever was a deal they did in 2015. Francisco Liriano, a 3-year, $39 million deal, is their largest free agent contract ever.
I think the very next year, 2016, Mark, they offered pitcher Ivan Nova, who was with the Yankees, and to lure him away from the Yankees, they offered him a multi-year deal. They have not offered a free agent a multi-year contract in 9 years. I mean, that's some of what Jeff Passan was saying. Like, listen, we got some bad situations throughout Major League Baseball, but this really could be the worst. This is an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, I didn't, I mean, they're making one PR blunder after another. McAfee did that big show in Pittsburgh. He's got Skeens on the show, and the fans are all chanting, sell the team.
Right.
So, Skeens, he'll get traded in a couple of years. And they're not even coming out to the ballpark for him the way they should be, because they've determined they're done going to games there.
I don't blame them at all. Don't blame them at all. Miller and Moulton. Steve Carney, he covers Major League Baseball, but we're going to talk some hockey with Steve. He's part of the Lightning Radio Network. Tampa Bay and Florida, first round of the playoffs coming up.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning, Mark.
How are you?
Fantastic. I told you the computer would work this time.
Oh, I know. Hey.
Stupid Windows 11.
It's amazing. I get up, about between 4:15 and 4:30 every morning, and there's a segment we do at the end of the show, and I could probably do it before I go to bed, but I've gotten in the habit of doing it when I get up first thing. I start my coffee, and I get the paperwork done for that, and every once in a while, the damn computer will want to refresh, and you're like, what are you doing to me right now?
No, it's like you're killing me.
Right. Rays are struggling.
Yeah, when you're not able to hit against Ryan Yarbrough, I think that's when you know that things are in trouble.
Yeah, they're just not hitting them. I mean, I was looking at it. You take away that big 15-run game.
Yeah,
not much there.
It's been really tough for them. I think a lot of it has to do with the guys that are supposed to be hitting well. Yandy struggled early. Brandon Lau has struggled at points. Caminero has struggled at points. By the way, I'm laughing at some of the comments I'm seeing. My rap, ambient _ Colorado sports fans asking what my rapper name is.
Well, we started because of Kadarius Toney.
Oh, yeah.
To be becoming a young Joker. So
yeah,
with rap names today, having a little fun.
Yeah, so I would probably do reggaeton, and my rapper name would be Grumpy Gringo or something. which is actually the name of a restaurant here in St. Pete.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, they serve birria tacos, and it's delicious.
Outstanding.
Hello, David.
Steve, good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Good.
Couldn't be better.
Is that genuine or?
Oh no, it's a Friday and I'm on the radio. This is fantastic.
Perfect. Oh, we're very appreciative.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour. Pat Kirwan to talk all things NFL at the top of the hour. Pat Micheletti to talk the Stanley Cup playoffs as a whole an hour from now. We'll focus in on the Panthers side of things in the Lightning Panthers playoff series to get underway for the fourth time this decade in a few days with Armando Velez in our bonus hour. But right now, Steve Carney is kind enough to join us. He makes his living doing a lot of things. He covers baseball, stpete9.com. He also does Yards and Stripes, which is an armed services football podcast, and it's terrific. And it helps when Navy and Army had the seasons that they had last year. And he's also part of the Lightning Radio and Audio Network. You can follow Steve on X at Steve Carney, Carney. And Steve joins us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. And we normally talk a lot of baseball with you, but is it okay if we talk a lot of hockey?
Oh, I am more than happy to talk hockey, especially with how the Rays are going. That's for sure.
Well, the Lightning and the Panthers, what, this fourth time in 5 years, second consecutive time in the first round. And we have a little saying on this show that it's a lot easier to play hockey if you have a Vasilevsky. Easy for me to say. But as I was getting ready today and looking up some stuff, his playoff numbers the last 2 years have not been Vasilevsky-like playoff numbers. This isn't one, he won the Conn Smythe and dominated throughout the postseason. Any worries about the Lightning goaltender? He had a great regular season this year. You hope that can continue in the postseason, but for whatever reason, his last two playoffs have not been great.
Yeah, they haven't. And I think part of that, Mark, is the fact that the team hasn't given him enough goal support 5-on-5. And you guys know this as well as anybody. When the playoffs come around, it seems like the referees just swallow their whistles and let guys play. And when you're letting guys, have free reign in front of your goaltender, that's a problem that the Lightning have had over the last couple of years. They have been, I want to say, I don't want to say out hustled, but they certainly have been pushed around a little more than they want. Now, I think Ryan McDonough is going to make a big difference this year as opposed to the last couple of seasons. When Mac left for Nashville, I think that it really did take away some of the grittiness that the team had on the blue line. And so for me, I think that that's going to be big. Now, the other thing that you want to see them try and get back with is, their health. When you lose a Bjorkstrand, you lose a Glendening. Darren Radish played last night, but, he's been banged up. They've lost a couple of, key pieces on the lower end of their lineup. When you're losing a bottom six center and a bottom six forward, that's a tough thing to come back with, especially with Glendening. He's been one of their best faceoff guys the last couple of years. When you needed a guy to win a faceoff, you would always send Glendening out there, and not having him would be very, very difficult for this first round of the playoffs.
Is this team roster makeup comparable to the team that lost to the Avs in the finals in 2022? Because to me, Steve, last year the Lightning were reduced to one line, one defenseman, and a power play. The year before that, they were like two lines, one defenseman, and a power play. 2022 is the last time, and they lost some guys between 21 and 22, but 2022 was the last time that, to me, that's when they had McDonough and they had Hedman. That's when I thought they went three lines deep.
Yeah.
To me, when you look at the Lightning entering the playoffs this time around, if McDonough's going to do 25 minutes with one defenseman and Hedman's going to do 25 minutes with another, and they could both be out there killing penalties if need be, and do they now go three lines deep?
Without Glendening and Bjorkstrand, I don't know if they go three deep. I think that those two guys are very important for you to say, okay, this is now a first line, a second line, and a combination of a third line that I think could be better than their opponents. And that goes all the way up through the Capitals in my mind. But not having Bjorkstrand and with Glendening being banged up, I'm curious to see how they will look in the playoffs. If they are just maybe not last year where they were all, a Vasily and one line and a power play, which doesn't really work in the postseason, but they might be a couple of years ago when they had two lines, but with a Glendening and with a Bjorkstrand back, I think they get to that third line, and maybe they are the deepest team in the Eastern Conference. And I think that's a good sign.
Getzel had a terrific year, 41 goals. And this is the time that young man shines. He has been an unbelievable playoff performer. And it would seem to me that while there are others that are bigger parts of the team, what Getzel does in the playoffs and his nose for the net, power play is one thing. He's going to have to make some big plays 5-on-5, I think, for the Lightning to make a deep run. Steve.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Mark. I think that, he in special teams this year, especially on the man advantage. I think that you get there not have the same opportunity.
Kind of getting a little breakout. Steve froze on us there.
Yeah.
And it was just him, not you. So I know it's his computer, not ours.
Right. So hopefully we can reconnect with Steve here, and the gremlins that are in the system can be taken care of.
That's too bad, because I like a little lightning discussion.
I like a lot of Lightning discussion. It's funny though, even if the Lightning are healthy, I don't think they're as deep as the Panthers. Now, the Panthers have injuries and suspensions that they're dealing with. Okay. But if the Lightning are as healthy as they can be and the Panthers are as healthy as they can be, all right, then I think Florida's deeper.
I do too, but not by much.
No.
Not by much. The question is, and I think the Lightning are better equipped this year than they were last year, when Florida just tries to run you out of the barn with that forechecking that is so good. I think Tampa's better prepared with this roster to withstand some of that.
Lightning will have home ice in this series, which is something that actually they have not had the majority of times that these two teams have met in the playoffs. I believe now we have Steve.
Let's see if my internet decides it wants to be cooperative.
Yeah, well, we all know internet can be moody.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, they could, anywhere from curmudgeons to moody, that's for sure.
I need Samson's internet. Samson's internet is fantastic.
Yes, it is. It is. There's no doubt there. Steve, David just mentioned home ice advantage. How big is that to you? Because the Lightning have not been great away from Tampa this year. It seems like home ice in this series could be really important.
Yeah, I think it's always important with the Bolts. I think it's been important the entire time. Even you can even go back into the bubble. I think having the chance to get the final change in Game 7 is so important for John Cooper and the coaching staff, even more so, I think, than the players, because they want to have the opportunity to be able to put the final line change out there before a puck gets dropped. But so I do think that home ice advantage is important for the Lightning. And we all know what the atmosphere is like in Amalie Arena for a playoff situation. And I think it's better than what you'll find in Sunrise. I think it's comparable to what you'll find in Toronto. I think it's comparable to what you'll find in Washington. I think it's going to be comparable to anything you'll see coming out of the Western Conference.
Steve, I thought this was going to be taken care of when they made the deals that they made right before the deadline and bringing in Yanni Gourde, but maybe it's just the last couple of weeks. I've watched a lot of Lightning games the last 2-3 weeks. They're not good on the faceoff dot.
No. 2
of the 4 goals they gave up last night. Now, it's tough to take last night in. It was meaningless, the whole deal, although basically everybody played. But, 2 of the 4 goals they gave up last night were directly off losing faceoffs in the defensive zone. That big game against Toronto, the Leafs dominated the faceoff dot.
They did.
And Steve, it's tough to win when you're losing faceoffs in the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. And as I said, I think that's what makes losing Luke Glendening so important, because Anthony Cirelli and and all the guys on the first line seems like they have not performed up to what I would say the Lightning standard is when it comes to in the faceoff circle. They have lost way too many faceoffs. I agree with you completely on that one. I think that if they're going to have any sort of success, you need to win faceoffs when you're in the attacking zone to keep the puck in, and you absolutely must win faceoffs in your defensive zone so you can get the puck out. And if you can't do that, it's going to be a very, very difficult first round.
Yeah, you've mentioned the injuries to the depth pieces of the Lightning being a big deal. One of the things that we've had a couple of Lightning fans been clamoring for is, why don't they get Isaac Howard on the roster? He was their first-round pick. He won the Hobie Baker at Michigan State. And from the looks of things, he's going back to college and may not sign with the Lightning at all and become a free agent in 2026. What the hell's going on with that, Steve?
Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with the situation with the salary cap. I mean, for Julien BriseBois to be able to sign Isaac Howard, there was going to have to be some amazing aerobatic, calisthenics that BriseBois was going to have to do. I mean, they were right up against the cap. And so to bring in an Isaac Howard, really the only piece you could take away was Cam Atkinson. And I think that, even that wasn't going to be enough for them to sign Howard. Now, here we are. Now the playoffs are around. Salary cap doesn't matter. Will Howard finally make the decision not to go back to Michigan State? I mean, I think the Lightning would be huge. It would be huge for them to sign the Hobey Baker Award winner. But, right now it comes down to, does Howard want to sign? Because if Howard doesn't want to sign, he's going to go back.
Well, but he's asking for a certain amount. Now that it's the playoffs, you can give him whatever he's asking for, whether you want to or not, and then you could deal with it later on in the offseason when you have to become cap compliant. I mean, Brisebois hasn't made a lot of mistakes as, GM. I mean, the Jarrett trade a couple years ago was a big one, but otherwise he's been really good. This would be a huge mistake to lose out on a prospect this good, in which when you drafted him, you had to allocate enough money to sign him.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that, David. And now comes the time where you got to show your cards if you're Brisebois on the Lightning. And if you, I really do think that Howard played this the way that he wanted to play it. And I think if he wants to sign with the Lightning and be that next piece, he'll be there, and he will make Brisebois allocate the money for him. And so now is the question, as the old adage says, it's time to poop or get off the pot.
Yeah. Is Kucherov going to win the MVP? Because we happen to think he should.
And I don't think he has a chance, Steve. Like, I don't know if he'll finish better than third.
Should, yes. Will, absolutely not. I have zero faith in the Professional Hockey Writers Association to put Nikita Kucherov's name at the top of anybody's ballot outside of maybe the two guys that vote here in Tampa. I have a feeling that every Canadian hockey writer will discount him. I have a feeling that hockey writers all up north will discount him. I don't expect the hockey writers in Sunrise to want to give Kucherov any sort of credit. So yes, I have a feeling that Nathan McKinnon could win his second consecutive Hart Trophy and once again not be the guy that should have won it.
Steve Carney covers the Lightning, covers the Rays, covers college football for a living. Follow him on X at Steve Carney, Carney. Steve, enjoy the rest of the Rays-Yankees series. Enjoy games 1 and 2 for sure of the Lightning and the Panthers next week, and we'll catch up mid-series.
All right, guys, I appreciate it.
Steve Carney's kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. A couple Lightning fans angry at me because I think that the Panthers are deeper. I do. Don't know what to say.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit SleepTreatmentDirect.com. That's SleepTreatmentDirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Pat. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah. Inside the 1 week mark of the draft.
Yep.
Nobody wants the draft to end more than me.
Really, really enjoyed your interview with Princely there from Ole Miss.
Hey, he revealed a lot about why I'd be interested in that guy.
I could tell by just what, I always can tell when you're interested in a guy, but what a sharp young man he was.
Yep.
For a D lineman, I mean, that was a sharp kid, one. But two, I know you got excited when the squat 700, you were done at that point. That was your guy.
I told him I don't need any more information. Did you hear me talking about his mother? I don't even know your mother, but I know Nigerian mothers. She's going to make you get that college. It's amazing how many of these Nigerian kids have pre-med degrees, engineering degrees. They just figure it all out at once. Yeah, I liked him a lot. He's smart. And Lane Kiffin said to me, he goes, when he came to us, he really had a lousy reputation as a run defender. But when we started playing him just to rush the passer, he wanted to get on the field more. He took the run defense serious. I actually like the Dorian Strong interview too. I had 3 of them yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't hear the stuff about Princely's mom there. I was running into Costco. I caught about 10 minutes of it, but I thoroughly enjoyed that young man. It's like, man, I could talk to him all day.
Yep. And he's a guy, try to get him on your show. His agent's trying to push him around, but I'll give you the number.
All right.
All of his brothers are named Prince.
That was the last thing I heard before I ran into the store.
Yeah. And the last one, he goes, well, 2 of us were born in Nigeria. The other 2 were born here. And the last one's names, they ran out of Prince ideas, so they called them Princeton. Yeah. He's got something to him, for sure.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I know you always worry about whether or not they love the game. We all know these guys can play the game. Do they love the game? He sounded like a kid who likes the game.
He does. And I don't think the structure of his family is not going to let him screw around. Good morning, David.
Hey, Pat.
How are you?
I'm good. You getting ready for the playoffs?
Oh, absolutely. I got 6 grandkids going to the game with me, so I had to buy a bunch of extra tickets.
I was going to say, don't you have like 10 tickets for tonight?
I do.
You guys all together?
I'm just 2 rows behind the kids, which is fine. I'll just put them in our seats, and then I can look down on the 4 big ones. They'll have fun with no adults around them. We'll sit up top, me and the other dads. Oh yeah, now these guys, they're gonna they all get dressed up for these games. We got a closet full of Everblades clothes. Every size from the very beginning of me bringing the grandkids is just a closet full. They will all have on stuff. And little do they know, I don't know. I guess for kids, I don't mind them wearing stuff. But when I see the adults sitting next to them in one, I start going, what is going on here?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home on this Friday, at least in the 239 and the 904. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. You hear the Ospreys in the background of Pat Kirwan's lovely commode, where he is joining us from. We'll get to Pat in a moment. Pat, NFL Radio moving the chains, weekdays 3 to 7, getting ready to head to Green Bay at some point next week for the draft. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. When do you head to Green Bay?
Yeah, so I'm going to fly up on Thursday morning. I got a 7 a.m. flight. Got to go through Chicago, as you well know, traveling around the country. I like flying into Appleton. It's just easier for me. And then I get into Appleton at noon, and the show starts 3 o'clock Green Bay time, 4 o'clock Eastern. We have a 3-hour pregame show. Then we have a 1-hour break, 7 to 8. And then the draft starts, and we're on till, I guess, 11. Usually about 11:15 ends the first round. So that's it. And the next day is round 2 and 3, as we all know.
All right, Pat, we've talked about it a few times. Every team has the first round pick. Very unusual. We've talked about the likely suspects to trade out, teams like Minnesota, who only have 4 picks, teams like Pittsburgh, who don't have a second round pick that may be interested. How many trades, if I were to put an over-under at 3.5 first round trades, would you go over or under that number?
I'd go over just historically. I know the big advertisement is no one's trading, but you already cited there's 3 or 4 teams that absolutely don't have enough picks. Minnesota is one of them. Atlanta is 2. Then you can look at Pittsburgh, and anyone who has a void in the second round. And then there's someone who's going to want to move back in the bottom of the first. And I think it'll probably be for a quarterback, like Dart or someone like that. So I would take the over. I love you guys with your halves. You usually burn me on that half, which I have a feeling, as I look at your 2 smiles, you're pretty sure it's going to be the under.
No, I agree with you. I think they'll get at least one team trading back in for a quarterback. I know the Chiefs don't have a lot of draft capital, but I just can't imagine they're going to sit tight and take best lineman on the board at 31 when there's a tackle that falls in the mid-teens and they could call Arizona or Miami or somebody like that and grab them. So, no, I think it will, in fact, be over. Pat, what is going on in New Orleans with this Carr injury? I mean, he's not faking something here, is he? There's reports that he wants out. This is an injury totally unrelated to what happened during the season last year. How do you mess up your shoulder in the offseason this badly? I mean, what is going on?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Saints, and I'll start with Carr, and then I'll get to Ramczyk. So Carr doesn't want to blame himself for anything. But when he signed his contract, he gave the rights to the GM to, at any time, convert his salary to signing bonus, which is what they do down there all the time. I'll give you the numbers here in a second. And I don't know why. Now he's talking about he's mad they did it. He got his money, so I don't know what he's talking about. Is it his shoulder? He claims he wants out because he wants to play somewhere else. So that would make the shoulder very suspicious to me. And he apparently did go in and try to get out of New Orleans completely a month ago. So that it wasn't really news when this came up again in the last couple of days. But to me, I think him, Rodgers, all these guys are looking at what happened to Kirk Cousins, and they don't want it to happen to them. They don't mind. Now, I get a little disappointed in their inability to, or desire to compete, but they also what happened to Cousins. And they don't want it to happen themselves because they don't want to be on the bench with a baseball hat on watching a rookie play. And so I think when they feel you're going to draft one, and the three of us have talked about them maybe taking Shador. Now he doesn't want to be there and be on the bench. So they're crying. But let me get to the problems in New Orleans. Ramczyk just announced his retirement. Major problem. Here's why, for your listeners. There are 20 guys on this roster that have $1 million salaries. Why? Because the GM exercised his right to convert their salary to signing bonus. We have 19 players on this roster that have more dead money than salary, which means to cut them, you're going to lose money. So it gets me to Ramczyk. So you can't control a guy who announces his retirement. A retirement's the same mathematically as a cut. Here's what happens. He's one of the guys, $1.2 million salary. Now, the dead money, it's $24 million minus his 1.25, which gives him a $23 million cap hit. And they have $27 million of cap space. They're going to go down to $4 million of cap space right away, which will not even be enough to handle the draft, the practice squad, and a little bit of a kitty for during the season when you have to go sign a guy. They get one more of these retirement things, or in the case of Carr, granting him his wish, and they're over the cap. It's very delicate down there. You cannot have 19 players that have smaller salaries than the dead cap money, which means if you now could Carr retire? Yeah, but they're gonna look at the signing bonus and go, you can give us some money back right now.
Well, right. He's not going to give money back. Okay, so he's not going to retire. He's pouting. I mean, and that's the problem, Pat. They have too many guys on the roster who, to get rid of them, cost them money. I mean,
19. There's 19. I went through the whole salary book at 5 this morning. If a number of guys said, you know what, Ramczyk, good idea, I'm out of here, because a lot of the guys that they did this with are over 30. They are in a delicate balance where they need them to play and they don't need them to retire or have career-ending injuries. They took all the risk to create cap space. Now, I say, in a way, you have to always address every option. Could Carr say, I'm retiring? Yeah, he could say it. And they couldn't control that. And then they'd own his rights as a retired player, but he could put them in a pickle if he wanted to, but he doesn't. He wants to play somewhere else. Never a big fan of Carr anyway.
All right.
How about running once in a while?
Speaking of guys playing somewhere else, let's get to a franchise that's equally as mismanaged. It's a little closer to us, the Miami Dolphins. You know, I know Greer said he'd trade Hill for 2-1s. No one's going to give 2-1s for Hill. You know, Ramsey, they're trying to move, but Ramsey's another case. If they move him, it costs them more money. I mean, this is seeming to be players are getting more control, and I don't understand the reasons why, Pat, because it's affecting the team, their cap, and what they can do going forward.
Yeah, well, money is power, and when you give players big signing bonuses, or you slide into what we call the Saint effect, where the salary is smaller than the dead money, the player. But that's the reason Miami can't let those two guys go. If they let those two guys go, the cap hit for them would be devastating. And remember, if you trade them, there's no June 1st for the trade guys. You're taking the cap hit now. If you look at the two guys, you're talking maybe $45, $50 million of cap hit to trade them. So they're not able to trade them. This nonsense about where we're looking around, I think you're trying to tell your player something. Don't you feel like I don't like saying the rats, but I feel like guys are getting on the lifeboats trying to row out of Miami as fast as they can.
Yeah, but in a lot of cases, it's 1 year after they just got 3-year big money extensions. Tyreek,
Right.
okay, Ramsey, Armstead with him retiring, that was a big cap hit for them. If they get rid of Ramsey, Pat, it will be 5 guys who at one point last year was a captain and walked to the center of the field for the coin toss. Okay, now we can question the room all we want, but I mean, it does seem like something is rotten in Miami.
Yeah, well, let's go back to the players going to see the head coach and demanding that they get rid of the defensive coordinator, who then goes on to win a Super Bowl at Philadelphia. You gave in to the players instead of saying, go back down and start lifting weights. We got practice in an hour. They didn't want to play for this coach, and they granted them their wish. Does that mean that they are loyal to you? No, it means they think they're running the show. No, it's not a good situation down there. And I don't think those guys are going anywhere, because I don't even think they can afford to do it, let alone now they got to deal with guys that they've announced in the case of Ramsey that they would look for a trade. They can't afford to trade them. They can't afford to take the cap hit.
Speaking of not being able to afford to take the cap hit, Pat.
Yes.
Yesterday we had a Vikings beat reporter on, got into the Vikings draft, lack of picks, their free agent moves and all that. And he made it at the backup quarterback position. He mentioned Cousins. He thinks Cousins is coming back, that the Falcons will deal him, which for David and I doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think it does for you either, Pat, because of all the dead cap money. Do you still think there's a chance that the Falcons move Kirk Cousins?
I don't think they can if they want to. And number two, he has a no trade clause, and forget all that BS that he's going to give up that no trade clause. No, why would he do that? They could trade him to the Jets. Then he's not going to do that. He's going to sit there. Now, if Minnesota gives them what they wanted, would he say yes? Probably. But he'd go to the same exact situation. He'd be on the field till he had his first boo-boo, and then McCarthy'd be back on the field. And he has already lived that one, so he probably won't do it. His wife and family's from Atlanta, her family. He's going to stay there and collect his money. Now, at the trade deadline, that's a whole different story. If someone who's in first place and looking like they're cruising all the way to the Super Bowl loses their quarterback, he might love that idea. But I think he's going to sit right there and do it. These guys are dreaming about, and they act like Cousins, the present version of Cousins, is a winner. You got to play McCarthy now. Go sign Carson Wentz as your backup and get on with it.
I was going to say we got 30 seconds till a hard break, but who's out there for backup quarterbacks right now? I mean, we're mystified that the Vikings didn't sign Joe Flacco or somebody else. I mean, think about it. The Chiefs aggressively signed a backup quarterback before the Vikings did. That makes no sense at all.
The Chiefs always sign a veteran backup that has been a starter. He has one rule, and that's it. So your question, I have my list for the draft of the free agents left that I would sign, because when you're the pro personnel guy, which I was, that head coach is going to walk in.
Okay.
They only have 4 quarterbacks, and 2 of them are terrible.
And we'll get to it on the other side, Miller and Moulton.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So where does everybody stay? Did you have to rent another place, Pat, to take care of this week?
So we have suites in my building.
Okay.
And so it's pretty simple. Janet and I like going down to the suite. And,
you give them the place.
I give them the place, and they got 4 bathrooms, so they can figure all that out. But it also takes me off the hook to babysit every day.
Right. Understood.
And I can do the show down there if I want to. But, you know, their day is pretty predictable. They'll get moving out of here about 9:30. They'll go to the beach club, and they'll stay there till 4:35, have lunch down there, and then they'll come back and play around in the pool at our building until 7. So they're never here while I'm doing the radio. Right. And down at the pool here, they have those little cabanas which have a refrigerator and a shower. So the refrigerator is full of junk food and water and stuff. And when they're done there, they take their showers down there and they come up ready for bed. I serve them dinner, or Janet serves them dinner, and then they go to bed.
Perfect.
It's really, I mean, one of the things I like most about here is the ability to do that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So you can handle them. So this is the one overlap day where my son's family is leaving tomorrow at 6 a.m. and my daughter's family's coming in today. So they'll have a night of fun at the hockey game. The other guys will leave, and then it's easy going again until Elizabeth shows. Elizabeth's in Rome with the boys. They went over to Rome for Holy Week. And then,
wow.
Yeah, she's never done it. She always wanted to. So they're there for the Vatican and all that stuff. So
that's impressive.
Yep.
I've never been to Italy. I would love to go to Rome one day.
Yeah.
I did my European trip in college, but we didn't make it to Rome.
So they're there now, and they'll be coming here on Wednesday, and then I leave Thursday for Green Bay. So
right.
It's great. She has the older kids, and so I'm always with Brady, who you know, and he's getting ready to play football. It's really kind of amazing how big he got. He's 6'3" and 215.
Now, is he still into hockey?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But when he got this bit, he's always wanted to play football, and his mom wouldn't let him. She insured the NFL. She had the account, and so she read all the concussion protocol stuff and wouldn't let him play. But she goes, "How do I deny a guy who's a sophomore in high school, who's 6'3"? And so Red Bank Catholic is a school. The kid who's going to play next to him is a sophomore like him, who's going to be a junior. He's already been offered a full ride to Penn State. So every school in the country will be out looking at him. Brady's going to be lining up right next to him.
What's he playing, tackle?
Pass rusher, defensive end.
Oh, defensive end. Okay.
And I got his coach at the high school also has his own business in coaching. So he's been with that guy 3 days a week since February.
Yeah, my buddy's kids got entering his senior year. He's a big kid, offensive lineman. He's getting some offers. I think he's got a couple of MAC offers.
Yeah.
But I told the old man, I said, Chris, I said, you don't have to worry anymore. If he goes to a MAC school, he's good. He'll be at a big school in 2 years.
Absolutely. And by the way, he'll play early in the MAC school.
Right.
And then he's going to go off and
he'll be at Wisconsin or Michigan State or wherever the hell it may be.
Absolutely. And I know that Boston College is banging into that MAC conference like crazy. Nope. That's the world we're in now.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. So my friend Greg Robinson, who died, his daughter, her husband, he's a coach at Florida State. So of course I got in touch with her yesterday. She said her two little ones their school was locked down. They couldn't get their kids out, and no one was allowed in. But her husband was walking 2 recruits around campus right by the student union when the shooting started.
Goodness.
Yep. Pretty sure those guys aren't going to Florida State.
Right.
And the sheriff's son of all things.
Yeah,
Either that, Pat, or the price just went up. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Pretty scary stuff.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
All right, here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
Pat Kirwan for another 10 minutes time on this Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. Pat is always with us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between Pinchers where you can't fake fresh. Pat co-hosts Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 7 on NFL radio. I think we're all tired of this subject, but there was some newsy part of the Aaron Rodgers story yesterday. He gave an interview. 2 parts to it, Pat. First off, did the Jets do something wrong in making him fly across the country so that 20 seconds into a meeting they could cut him?
No. Get over it, Aaron. Don't be so sensitive.
Okay.
I mean, he made a big issue of it.
Yes.
Good for him. Maybe that tells us more about him than we need to know if we had to decide. What do you think Pittsburgh's thinking?
Well, that's the second part of the equation. Hearing him talk about just, how it ended with the Jets, and obviously it didn't, Aaron didn't like it, but also he then goes on to say, am I interested in playing next year? Yes, but I'm in a serious relationship. I got people close to me who have serious things going on in their life. Wherever I decide to go, this will be a serious commitment by me. I mean, I'm at the point, if I'm the Steelers, I'm like, here's the contract. You have until midnight Sunday to sign it.
Yeah, I've been saying that on this show for a month. When he walked out of the building after his big visit, you got 2 days. And I'll tell you, I don't know how many Steeler fans you get on your show, but I get a lot of them. And they don't want him.
No, they don't. That's the vibe I'm getting too, Pat.
They are willing to sacrifice this year even to not really lower their standards for what it is to be a Steeler. They have a formula. They actually want people that want to be there and are honored that they're offered a contract. And look, you could call it stubborn, old-fashioned, whatever. They know for them their formula works. They don't want the guy. And they're actually convincing me. I don't think they really know what they're talking about, but they're saying we can go with Mason. Then I review Mason's history. You got rid of Mason. Mason got benched in Tennessee for a kid that no one thinks can play. So, but they are. I hope he's foolish enough to come, because then I'll be at that camp when they're booing that money. That's Friday night under the lights at that high school. They'll be booing the guy.
Any problem at all with Ashton Genty's article in the Players Tribune, basically, talking about Saquon, saying, I thought that can be me. I know you've been not critical, but you wonder when players are starting to talk before the draft. Does it bother you that Gentry published this article in the Players Tribune?
Not really. I find it's not like some of the things I hear, like when Travis says, I'd rather not play. Those kind of things are immature. What he said was, this is my goal. My aspiration is to be that guy. Well, that's a good one. Aim for it. Hope you hit it. But I don't care. And then look, not everyone. I interviewed a lot of players this year, and I interviewed 3 guys yesterday. None of them really operate like they're marketing themselves. But every so often, the agents encourage these guys to say things they shouldn't say. But I have no problem with Genty.
All right. Yeah, I know you don't believe he is going to be outstanding. You just think he's going to be a good player in the league. But if somebody out there with New England or Jacksonville thinks that Genty is going to be McCaffrey-like, Barkley-like, do you take a Mason Graham over a Genty in Jacksonville? Do you take a Will Campbell over a Genty in New England if you happen to hold Genty in elite running back regard?
No, if my evaluation process led me to believe that he's an elite player, one of the maybe 7 or 8, and I'm stretching the number, I think it's more like 6 elite players in the draft, you don't flinch, you take them. Everyone liked to boo Dave Gettleman. Oh, he's terrible. What a GM. You know who he drafted? Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley. While everyone was saying you don't take running backs this high in the draft, he didn't care because he said they're gold jacket guys. That's exactly what he said on the air. He goes, they're gold jacket guys, and I don't care what people think. And look at the 2 guys he drafted, the highest paid running backs in the National Football League. So if Dave was here, I should call Dave and ask him how he sees Genty. But if he saw Genty the way he saw those 2, he'd take him and he wouldn't care. And if he had to move up to get him, he'd probably move up. So either you have a board that your convictions come from the board or you don't. So if Genty is if Genty's number 1, 2, or 3 on your board and you're drafting at 5 and he's still there, you take him.
What do you think Cleveland's board looks like? Do you think they're locked into Travis?
Yeah, I do. Travis is, I thought John Harbaugh said it best. Don't tell Travis he can't do something. There's no reason to do that. Just draft him, start him out on one side of the ball. When he achieves success there, then slide him into some situational stuff on the other side. And, I think Dion has reliving his life through Travis, not his son. He's living it through Travis. He's wants to take what he did and expand it to Travis never leaves the field, which he probably thought he could have done. When he says things like the NFL game's slower and there's more TV timeouts, Dion knows. Yeah, when they snap the ball, the game is twice as fast as college. I tell people all the time, when I go to a college game, it looks slow as molasses to me. It's, so come on. But I do think you start him out on one side, pick the side you like, and then expect him to be able to contribute on the other side. There's a million reasons why you can't go both ways the whole game. I don't want to go through the list every time, but I would take him if I was those guys.
What is going on with organizations 6 days out from Green Bay? And they're going to all fly into Green Bay on Tuesday. Literally, what's going on inside an organization right now?
Well, there's not one single decision maker flying to Green Bay. That's the first thing the listeners should know. Nobody who's making a decision in this draft for any club is sending a decision maker to Green Bay. No reason to be there. We'll be there covering the picks. And the guy handing in the card is handing in the card. It's all being done from home, or I see the Rams are going to some fire center or something. But so what's going on there? There's no trade talks going on in Green Bay, Wisconsin, because no decision makers are there. That's all being done by phone in offices. And yes, this is when I said this on Tuesday, positioning yourself for potential trades. Same story all the time. I call you, David, and you're 4 picks ahead of me, and I go, look, if the guy we want's there, we'd love to come to your spot. Here's what we'd offer you. Really? Well, if the guy we want's not there, we'd sell the spot to you for that compensation. And you try to set that up with 4 or 5 places. And so that's what's going on. And then I recall when I was young and I got assigned the teams I got assigned because I knew the GMs, I just remember walking down and reporting in, okay, the Chiefs will do it with us for a 1 and a 3. Okay, the Raiders, they said they do it for a 1 and a 4. And that's all logged. And we got our potential trade partners all over the place. That doesn't mean we're going to make one trade, but you set them up. And about 2 picks from the thing, you'd call up the Chiefs. I remember calling the Chiefs going, "Hey, is your guy?" "No, our guy's gone." So the pick's available. Good. You're not changing the compensation, are you? No.
10 seconds. The board set, locked in.
Just about. There are a couple things left. There's still, we know, the 3 of us have watched this. There'll be a failed drug test announcement. That happens every year. There'll be an incident off the field that's going to change things. Dak Prescott got arrested, went to the 4th round. So, yeah, there's still a few things. But in general, I'd say 95% of the board's done.
Pat, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your ECHL playoffs. And we'll talk again next week.
Yes, go Blades. We're back in the playoffs, as always.
Pat Kirwan on Miller and Moulton. Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So, Michael, I don't know if you're still in there, but journalism apparently is going to be the Derby favorite. But there's a gray horse named Sandman that I think I'm betting on. All set.
Great.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton, which Armando Velez will join us then as we talked to Steve Carney earlier about the Lightning perspective with the upcoming Panthers Lightning series. We'll get Armando to talk about the Panthers perspective for the upcoming Florida Tampa Bay series. Pat Micheletti is kind enough to join us once again. He covers college and the NHL for KFan in the Twin Cities, but also Westwood One in the Big Ten Network. You can follow Pat on X at PatMick2626. PatMick2626. Pat, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Great to be with you again. And yes, it's that time of the year, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And listen, the 2-3 series, 3 of the 4 of them look spectacular. I mean, fourth go around for LA Edmonton. Obviously, Florida Tampa Bay, we're geeked up about. The Colorado Dallas series, wow. How about the 4-1-4 series? The Wild, who you focus on, they're in one of them. The Blues ended the season red hot. Ottawa against Toronto. Does Montreal have something for Washington? I'm just curious, how do you see the 1-4 series?
Well, the one that intrigues me the most is a team that was in turmoil for a long time throughout the season, and then they make the move and somehow land Jim Montgomery as their coach. And when Monty took over, things started to change with the Blues. I cannot tell you how good a coach Jim Montgomery is in having dealt with them in the college ranks and in the pro ranks, and his just ability to break down another team, to get each of his players to understand how they can contribute to a team is and then bring the team together and get them in that situation where they are just they're dialed in, they're playing the way that he wants them to play, and their success in the second half of the year has been remarkable. I mean, they were hung out to dry for a majority of the season and end up getting in. So I think, guys, that they're going to give Winnipeg everything that they can handle in the first round. And with Nikolai Ehlers week to week with that unfortunate injury that he had, I think that is a series that I'm going to keep an eye on in the first round.
We'll see if Winnipeg, who always has struggled scoring goals, they were great this year in scoring. We'll see what happens in the postseason. When you look at the Battle of Ontario,
the X factor too is the goaltending matchup, Billington versus Hellebuck, and Hellebuck, there's no question, has been the best goaltender, I should say, probably consistently all year.
When you look at Toronto and Ottawa, I believe there's no team, and I think we all would acknowledge no team has more pressure on them every year in the playoffs than the Toronto Maple Leafs. All of Canada is looking at them to finally end the drought. But does Ottawa have anything for Toronto? How does this matchup look to you?
Well, you got Brady Tkachuk, and anytime you have Brady Tkachuk on your team, it's like having Matthew with the Panthers. They just bring something that ignites everybody else on the team, and just that will to win, that I've got your back, type mentality. I think Toronto has too much. Yes, there's pressure on them, like we don't even know about, right? And but with their lineup top to bottom. I just think eventually in that series, it's going to sway Toronto's way, and I think they'll get out of the first round.
Are the Leafs different to you this year? New coach with cup winning experience. They made some changes around the edges, but the core is obviously still the core. When you saw the Leafs this year, did they seem different to you? And you know what I mean by different, as in, hey, we can win in the spring.
Right, and I think they're trying to play a little bit tougher than they have been. They've kind of been known for that flair and score a ton of goals and give up a lot of goals, and so I think they've tried to tighten that part of their game up. Is it going to be enough? Is the question? Is their goaltending going to give up? Are they going to give up leaky goals? Are they going to be able to not be satisfied with winning a series and win the next one? That's their challenge. And so, do they have the personnel? Sure they do. You look at their lineup and there's no question, but sometimes it's more than looking at your lineup and say, yep, we got a good enough lineup. It's having that mentality that let's keep this thing going and move on. And does the pressure get to them? That's another key. Winning in Toronto is not the easiest place in the world, as we both know.
NHL playoffs start in earnest tomorrow. We're talking hockey with Pat Micheletti, who covers the NHL for KFan in the Cities, Westwood One, and the Big Ten Network.
When you look at Washington, and obviously the season Ovechkin has had, but they changed the team this year. They barely qualified for the playoffs. They got younger. They got faster. When I look at Washington, I see them having not a lot of problems with Montreal. I think they can get by Carolina. The Devils are pretty banged up. I don't know what they're going to have. That's the only 2-3 series that I think is not going to be a great one, and I could end up being wrong. But to me, Washington looks like a team that should be able to get to the Eastern Conference Final. I don't know about easily, but I like their path a lot. Do you?
Well, was anyone in the hockey world talking about the Washington Capitals when the season started? I would think not. Especially with the year the Rangers had and last year and the Panthers, and we could name a bunch of teams in the East, but we weren't naming the Washington Capitals. And so they quietly built their team, and yes, they got faster and they got more depth and then obviously what Ovechkin has done this year, and I think. Guys, I really think that motivated that group in that locker room. They wanted him to get the record, and along the way, we're going to get better as a hockey team. And once you start winning, you don't want to lose again, right? I mean, you want to keep that thing going, and they, they were one of the most consistent teams throughout the grind, which is an 82-game season. And I agree with you. I think their path, obviously not easy, but I think that they can, they can make some waves and get to at least the Eastern Conference Final.
And along those lines, Pat, should Ovechkin receive serious consideration for the Hart? I mean, listen, Draisaitl's amazing. They finished third. Makar and McKinnon are amazing. They finished in third. We probably would vote for Kucherov because Tampa did better. Okay, but I mean, with what Washington has done and Ovechkin is clearly their leader, shouldn't he garner serious consideration for the Hart?
Oh, I would listen for the number of goals he scored and the number of games that he played. You guys have the numbers probably right in front of you, but I mean, it's ridiculous, right? And at his age, I mean, yeah, he doesn't kill penalties anymore. He plays doesn't play the amount of minutes that he used to play, but you get the puck on his stick, and guess what? It's got a chance of going in the back of the net. And I'm with you 100%. I think he certainly should get a lot of votes. Whether he would win it or not, who knows, right? But there's no question. To do the things that he has done this season, I don't even have a word for it, guys, because it was just so remarkable.
44 goals in 65 games for Alex Ovechkin this year. Just
think about that. I mean, that's insane. And without playing the number of minutes that we're used to seeing an Alex Ovechkin play, it's you can't find guys like that.
All right, we have not talked about this series yet. Colorado and Dallas. Both David and I think that the winner of this series goes all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. This should be a bloodbath between these two teams. They're excellent. They're physical.
Well,
and it's
and listen, they both made the big moves, right, to try to get their teams to the Stanley Cup. Rantanen in Dallas, Nelson, Coyle, and Nietzsche in Colorado. They're all in, right? They're all in. Dallas is going in losing their last 7 games, so you want to go into the playoffs on an uptick and feeling good and have your game to the point where it's at, where you need it to be. Not having Heiskanen in the first round, I think is really going to hurt Dallas. And so I'm giving, at one point at the beginning of the, middle of the year, beginning of the year, I'm thinking, what, this could be Dallas's year, but not so fast, right? Colorado, as when you're strong up the middle, when your D is as good as theirs is, it's going to be a great series. I'm going to give the edge to Colorado, guys.
How do you see our Florida Tampa Bay series?
Well, to me, I think, here's what we do know, right? We do know that the 82 game season is ridiculously hard and long. We do know the Florida Panthers have played a lot of hockey in the last 3 years. So to me, I picked Florida to win the Cup at the beginning of the year. I thought that they would repeat. Picking up Marchand, I think, is great. But what it's all going to come down to me, guys, is the health. They may dress everybody. Both teams may have, a full complement of players. How healthy are they? And how and can they get through that first round? And so, listen, both teams, you got the 2 best goalies in the world playing against each other. You got the Stanley Cup champs wanting to repeat again. And so, I just think it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to go 7 games. I can't pick a winner. Kucherov is all world. Jake Gensel is had a terrific year for Tampa. We all know that. And so, it's going to be a hard, fought out 7 game series. I can't pick the winner.
Pat Micheletti. Yeah, that was a pretty good cop out. I mean, that was as cop outs go.
Thank you.
That's, it's about a 7.5 out of 10. Pat Micheletti covers hockey, college and pro. Westwood One, Big Ten Network, K-Fan in the Cities. Follow him, Pat Mick 2626. Pat Mick 2626. Pat, enjoy the playoffs, and we'll probably call late in the first round if that's okay.
Let's do it, guys. I look forward to it. Have a great day.
Pat Micheletti. NHL playoffs get underway tomorrow. St. Louis at Winnipeg, Colorado at Dallas, both games on TNT.
Looking forward to that Colorado-Dallas game tomorrow night. That should be a great series. You and I have both been looking at those two teams for a while, and it looked for a long while like they were going to play one another. That's the case. Great first-round matchups. Those 2-3 games, Edmonton and the Kings should be solid. Colorado-Dallas will be good. I do think Carolina has a big edge on the Devils because of their injuries. So that means the Devils will probably win in 6, and then Tampa and Florida, obviously.
Tell you what, Carolina has to regret the moves they made this year. If they had stuck with their lineup, okay, they'd be a really dangerous team to get to the conference finals. NBA playoffs, the play-in games tonight, we got 2 of them, but 4 playoff games Saturday, 4 playoff games Sunday. Milwaukee, Indiana, Clippers, Nuggets, Pistons, Knicks, T-Wolves, Lakers from 1 o'clock to 11 o'clock tomorrow night. That's your lineup.
Not as interested in the first round of the NBA playoffs, although I think Clippers Nuggets should be interesting. And I actually think, with Lillard, if he can make it back, what's that going to do in the Bucks Pacers series? He's been cleared to practice. We'll see if he can start playing by the time the first round begins.
Heat in the play-in tonight, 7 o'clock in Atlanta. They're a 1.5-point favorite on TNT. The bonus hour's next.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, Tadalafil, and Viagra, Sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
He's ready.
The Hart Trophy is the MVP. The Vezina is for best goalie. The Conn Smythe is for playoff MVP.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Bonus hour on this Good Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. You got the Heat in the play-in tonight, 2 NBA play-in games, and the NBA playoffs begin in earnest with 4 playoff games Saturday and 4 on Sunday. The NHL kind of going to get warmed up over the weekend. 2 Saturday, 3 Sunday. Panthers and Lightning aren't playing until Tuesday. Armando Velez covers the Panthers, the Locked On Panthers podcast. He also writes about them for the Hockey News. You can follow Armando on X at MondoMan12. MondoMan12. That's the number 12. Armando, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk the Panthers Tuesday night. Between injuries and suspensions, how whole are they going to be Tuesday night for game 1?
They're going to be, for the most part, whole. Paul Maurice did speak to the media in their playoff media availability about how everybody is possible to go for game 1, which assumes that as they've been managing things, they've been putting different lineups on throughout the last 6 to 7 games of the regular season, prioritizing rest over home ice advantage. And the plan for Matthew Tkachuk is to get him on the ice for the off days and then make the decision for after Monday's skate. So everything looks to be all systems go, with the exception of Aaron Ekblad, who will miss the first 2 games of the first round series between these 2 teams.
You know, last year, Florida was thought of as a team that didn't just have 4 lines, that basically their 5th line that wasn't playing could have played for most teams. When you look at their depth this year, is it the same, better, or worse?
I would say it's a bit better because, I mean, you're thinking about the trade last year when they made the trade for Vladimir Tarasenko. The discussion around him was more of an offensive-oriented type of player. Not really committed to the defensive side of the puck, but you think of how he's adjusted his game throughout that playoff run that got him to the cup. And then bringing in a player like Brad Marchand at the trade deadline, right at the buzzer when you look back at it, just a shock around the hockey world for him. And to think that not only him being part of the mix for the Panthers, being part of that third line with Anton Lindell and Eetu Luostarinen, and also a guy who could play big PK minutes, get to the net front, agitate the opposition as well. I think there's a lot higher upside for the Panthers here for this upcoming playoffs for them. So I think the forward depth for them is a lot better coming into this one. And obviously the money that they got from the LTIR pool from Matthew Tkachuk's injury was certainly helpful, because not only did they get Brad Marchand, they got Nico Sturm into the mix, who's a guy who is over 60% in the faceoff dot, who is going to be a key for them on defensive zone draws, because of the fact that they're not going to have last change, not having home ice, and also when they go on the penalty kill for them. And also he does himself have Stanley Cup experience with being on that 2022 Colorado Avalanche team. So that's a big part of the injury that actually ended up helping the Florida Panthers.
Talking the Panthers Lightning series, which begins on Tuesday with the Panthers perspective from Armando Velez. Follow him on X at MondoMan12, MANDOMAN, and the number 12. Let's talk Tkachuk. It's always difficult to get an accurate reading on injuries and the extent of them. what's he been doing? Like Brady was able to come back and play. He wasn't very good last night, but he played 14 shifts, 10 minutes for Ottawa. How's Matthew?
I think he's going to be just fine. I mean, last week he got on the ice and Paul Maurice described it as just him, quote unquote, touching pucks. Like no heavy drills for him. And I mean, when you think about it, when it comes to we're assuming it's a groin injury for what happened at the Four Nations. Obviously, in the game against Canada on February 15th, he tried giving it a go after without practicing. And even then I was saying, oh, he's going to miss some time after that. And then even tried in the final and just body said no. And the thing with groin injuries is that they could re-aggravate at any time for them. So this was the opportunity that you have to just sometimes rest and do absolutely nothing. And time is your best healer when it comes to that type of injury. So little by little, step by step, when it comes to the recovery aspect of Matthew Tkachuk. And to think that with the line that he's likely going to be on with Sam Bennett and Matthew Samoskevich, guys who he's worked with before, I'm not necessarily worried about his ability to get back and mesh with that line once he comes back.
You know, you mentioned faceoffs and the penalty kill, and I think that's such a huge part of this series. Obviously, Tampa very skilled and some guys that can put the biscuit in the basket, but Florida's penalty killing was terrific. Second in the league this year. And I know there's not as many penalties in the postseason, but when thinking these games are going to be a little lower scoring, you know, more 3-2 games than 5-4 games, I would imagine, with the goaltending of both of these teams, special teams will be paramount, and Florida is great at the penalty kill.
Yeah, great on the penalty kill, especially on the road. They're actually better on the road when it comes to that versus home, and they're not like I mentioned, they're not going to have home ice advantage in this series, and without Aaron Ekblad for them, so that's going to be crucial for them. And also, I shared this on the podcast this morning, the PIM differential between the two teams. Florida is actually 7th worst in the NHL, while Tampa Bay is actually 24th. So so Tampa Bay is actually in the top third with them taking penalties versus their opponents taking penalties for them. So that's going to be a crucial part, especially when Gustav Forsling's on the ice and facing, and then keeping eyes on Nikita Kucherov, who won the Art Ross Trophy this season, and you know that he could make plays out of a hat for him. And you know the net front presence of Braden Point, Jake Gensel, those are guys that they have a tough assignment, no question about it. And to think that Tampa Bay Lightning on the other side, they're coming off a short off season where they made a lot of decisions where they decided not to re-sign Steven Stamkos, who had a plus-minus of -40, and to think that they got better, it ended up being the right decision for Julian Breezeball and company. So their power play is just as great coming off a very long off season for them. So with the Panthers and the miles logged on them for these last 2 seasons, which is getting close to almost 300 in these last 3, that's really the penalty kill is gonna be important, and the fact that of staying out of the box is gonna be crucial. But Gustav Forsling even spoke about it to the media yesterday, how we're not going to change our game. We're going to keep close gaps, and that's really just been the Panthers' bread and butters on just how they've been able to win board battles. And really, one of the training camps that I started covering the team, one of those individual drills were how they managed around the boards. And to think that even in games 5 and 6 against the Rangers in the conference final and how they ended game 7 against Edmonton, it came down to their ability to muscle up and battle it along the boards for them. So it's going to be another test for them on just because the Tampa Bay Lightning have trees, the Florida Panthers have some big bodies as well. So it's going to be a strength on strength between these two.
The Lightning are definitely better this year than last. They're far deeper. They brought McDonough back on defense. Vasilevsky seems to be back at top form. Is there an area where the Panthers are not as good as they were last year? Because on paper, they look to be the most complete team in the league. But is there an area with following them all year in which you noticed, yeah, they're not quite as good here as they used to be?
I would say right now for them would be the top four of the blue line for the Panthers, especially with Aaron Ekblad's suspension. I mean, Seth Jones has only played only 20 games for the Florida Panthers since that trade at the deadline for them, and Gustav Forsling is going to have a different partner for the first two games, which we assume it's going to be Dmitry Kulikov, and then that's where up and down the lineup that it could really put an effect on the Panthers here for them. And you think that for the Tampa Bay Lightning, their blue line, I mean, you think of Victor Hedman, although he's still dealt with a few injuries for him, that he's still capable of running a power play both sides of the ice. We, like you mentioned, bringing back Ryan McDonough to the mix for them, and that to think that how much of they went back to that Stanley Cup identity with him there, him paired with Eric Chernak, and then with Victor Hedman, a different partner here in JJ Moser. But even though with the inexperience of Moser, he's been proven to take on big assignments for them. So the top four is really the part of the Panthers where I'm maybe a little bit concerned about, because you think about, like we mentioned, whenever that the top six forward lines of the Panthers go up against the top four, the top six of the Lightning go up against the top four D of the Panthers, you're going to see them maybe try to expose Kulikov. But thankfully, Kulikov is a veteran in this league, and he's taken up those top assignments in the past. So that's really the big concern when it comes to the Panthers, when it comes to Ekblad's suspension, and how they manage these first two games. If they come out with a split here, it feels like a victory for the Panthers.
Armando Velez covers the Panthers, the Locked On Panthers podcast, which he recorded this morning. Also writes about the Panthers for the Hockey News. You can follow Armando on X at MondoMan12, MANDOMAN, the number 12. Armando, thanks for your time and insight. I know the travel, at least in the first round, will be good. Hopefully we can catch up sometime during the series.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Armando Velez, kind enough to join us. The Lightning Panther series begins Tuesday. Wow.
David Moulton was so gung-ho for this series.
Oh.
David Moulton very rarely assumes things. He really doesn't. When it comes to sports, he knows schedules. I think you're all aware over the years of David's memory. David got so geeked up for the NHL playoffs, and particularly for the Lightning Panther series, that we previewed it today. He didn't probably realize until he got up this morning that the first game was Tuesday.
I figured it was Sunday, Monday at the latest. I knew it wasn't Saturday, and I'm like, well, good, because the Lightning had to, have an exhibition game in New York last night, so good.
Let me ask you a question about this series. He talked a lot about home ice. More important for the Lightning to go up 2-0 or for Florida to get one of the first two for whomever you think is going to win the series?
I think it's more important for the Lightning to hold serve at home.
I agree. I
mean, first off, the Panthers have been amazing on the road the last 2 years in the playoffs. But, I just think it's important for Tampa to be in the lead in this series for as long as possible. Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So I was thinking about something yesterday, and I don't know if it could be put in the hopper for a theme type show when we need it or a segment. But is there what's the most iconic number in sports? I mean, is it 23 with Jordan? Is that the one number that stands above all numbers?
Is it 12?
And that's what, and I just thought it would be a fun discussion one day. Don't ask me why. That's what I got thinking about yesterday. Sure as hell not going to decorate eggs. I did laugh. There's been a couple of memes out there. Eggs and toilet paper were so expensive. We used to throw them at houses when we were young.
Totally. Totally. So I grew up in an apartment complex, lived there from kindergarten until I went to college. And we lived at two different places in the apartment complex. When we lived in the middle, that was the one-bedroom apartment, there were two entrances to like our slew of apartments. The one was to a parking lot. The other was to a back area which was 50 to 100 feet higher than the road. It was an awesome perch to October 30th, just throw anything and everything from to the cars that were driving by.
Yep.
And, some people would come after us.
Oh, yeah. We used to do it at Kessel's house. And, you had your way to hide. You had to.
Right. And so I had to do it before my mom got home. And then if my mom found out I was throwing eggs at people's cars, she'd lose her mind. She would let me soap up cars in the parking lot, though. Not crazy, but she would let me just with a bar of Ivory soap or what have you, just write on some people's cars and what have you. Okay, that she would let me do.
I remember when we lived on a corner, not busy streets. One was busier than the other, but in a neighborhood. And I was pretty sure the group of girls in my class were coming for me to toilet paper the house because we had gotten one of them, the week prior, nights prior, whatever it was.
Right.
And so I'm waiting. I got all the house lights off, and sure as hell, they come pulling up on the side, and I've got them spotted. So I see them walking up and jumped out and threw the lights on. Well, they get in their car. They're just getting out of the car. They shut the doors, and they take off. Well, they are on my street, which had the stop sign to the busier street, and they ran through the stop sign, and there was a cop.
Oh!
And not only did they not toilet paper my house, the one driving got a ticket for running the light.
Yeah.
And then I went for a little walk around the neighborhood and just walked past the car with a blank-eating grin going.
I would have gone back and done what we came to do after that. My mother did just text me and say I wouldn't let you do the windshield. Nope, just the side windows.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. We've just had 4 guests in a row. Steve Carney talking Lightning. Pat Kirwan talking all things NFL and NFL Draft. Pat Micheletti previewing the NHL Playoffs. Armando Velez, all things Panthers. So we had the Lightning perspective and the Panthers perspective. Tampa Bay and Florida beginning their playoff series not until Tuesday, as it turns out. My goodness. But all our guests joining us on the American Paint Supplies hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
You know, we did get a question asked when we were interviewing Pat Micheletti in the Twitch chat room, and it was asked very nicely. It wasn't even snark, which we appreciate snark as well. But he simply said, I wish you guys would. He said, am I the only one that wishes they would talk about the NBA playoffs more than the NHL playoffs? And I would say to you, sir, you're not the only one. But based on our audience, you're in the minority because we had a poll question this week that had a lot of votes to it for us. When we get over 100 votes on our show, that's a pretty good amount of votes for us. And we asked what you were more excited about, the NHL or the NBA playoffs. Over 71% of you said the NHL playoffs. So there are some of you, and we did have Keith Smith on the show earlier this week to talk about the first round. I'm struggling to find first round storylines.
And we had on Armando Segura to talk
the Heat.
The Heat, okay, specifically. Alejandro Solano, excuse me, to talk the Heat. And I thought he made a very good point, and it played out in game 1 for them, in which, Mark, you asked the question. You were like, what the hell can you learn about this team during this, whatever it's going to be, 1 game in Chicago, 2 games, or they make it all the way to the first round and they probably go away pretty quietly against Cleveland. What in the world can we learn about the Heat? And his answer was, well, if Tyler Hero and or Bam Adebayo are the players that the Heat keep claiming they are, shouldn't they be able to beat Chicago and Atlanta and at least make the playoffs as the 8 seed? Because if not, if they're not going to step up and have big games this week, then don't you have to include them in your trade packages to improve this team in the offseason? Well, what happened in game 1? Tyler Hero goes for 38. Well, okay. Well, let's see what you guys do tonight in Atlanta.
They literally played their best half of basketball maybe all year in the first half of that play-in game. You could argue that's their best 24 minutes of hoop that they've played all year.
Had a 24-point halftime lead in Chicago. And, we know the playoffs are very different than the regular season, but the Bulls did go 3-0 against the Heat. Chicago won a big head-to-head game against the Heat recently to determine maybe who was going to host the 9-10 game.
All right, but in the whatever happens tonight, whoever wins, do you see the Heat, the Hawks, the Mavericks, the Grizzlies winning more than 1 game, if that, in their first series.
No, I mean, I'd give Memphis the best shot to win more than one game. Maybe they could win 2. Maybe. I mean, Ja can be a problem.
What about the Magic? Do you give the Magic much of a chance to win a game or 2 against the Celtics?
I think they can win up to 2.
I do as well, because defensively they're really good. They're long. We talked about this the other day. They'll switch on every play. They've got that type of team that can defend that way. They're physical. If they can make their shots, they're dangerous. They're just, I believe they're the worst three-point shooting team in the league. So if they get hot for a game or 2, they can win up to 2, but no more than that.
And the Magic, of course, are not 100% healthy entering the playoffs. So, I don't know how you're going to do real damage against the Celtics if you're not at your best. And that is, by the way, from an editorial standpoint, it is the reason, not just the poll question, in which we know that hockey is much more popular with our audience than the NBA. But the other thing is we're looking for first round drama. We just think there's potentially a lot less of it in the NBA. And that no matter how the West shakes out, the second round could be very interesting. The NBA playoffs could be on paper in terms of matchups, quality of teams, could be better than the NHL after the first round going forward. It's possible. But, I mean, it's tough to take anyone in the East seriously against Cleveland and Boston. I mean, even with Lillard getting the great news that he got here, that he's off the blood thinners, and he might be able to come back early to midway through the first round series against the Pacers. I mean, does anybody think Milwaukee's beating Cleveland? I mean, with Giannis and Dame, maybe they can win 2. But
yeah, I mean, I think it makes the Milwaukee-Indiana series a lot more interesting.
Yes, that I'd agree with.
That gives us a good first-round series in the East, in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, people are going out on a limb. Hey, the Warriors are going to beat Houston. They're favored to. Vegas has them as a big favorite to win that series as the 7. So that's not really an upset to me when Vegas is telling you before the series that they're picking the 7 to win. Like I said, I think Nuggets-Clippers could be a really good series.
Outstanding series, actually. Yes. And I'm not sure which team matches up better with OKC. I actually think it's the Clippers. I don't know that
Kawhi's healthy.
And so, knock on wood, he is.
Right
now, Kawhi is healthy. And I don't know that the Nuggets are deep enough. And they've ended the season with injuries.
But if Golden State actually were to beat Houston and the Lakers can hold serve, you're right. We could have some really good second round matchups in the West.
Yes.
Really good. And that's when I think the playoffs start in the NBA is in the second round.
Exactly.
I don't see much in the first round.
And that's a big reason why we have not gone as cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs about the NBA playoffs as the NHL. We're just not seeing the general first round interest. Now, by the end of the first round, you get a game 7 Denver and the Clippers. You get a game 7 Golden State and Houston. You get a game 7 Minnesota and the Lakers. Okay. We're entertained. We're intrigued. Let's go.
But that's just how, fired up that the Pistons are in the postseason. If they could win 2 from the Knicks, that'd be a hell of an accomplishment.
I agree. And for that matter, the one thing I will say, I'm not saying this as a fan of the team. I'm saying it as somebody who's just witnessed sports for 50 years. This whole so-and-so has dominated the other team in the regular season. It only takes one playoff win to make all of that go away. We see it in baseball all the time. We see it in hockey all the time. It takes one win. Like, yes, the Knicks have been unable to beat Cleveland and Boston and OKC even once during the regular season. What happens if the Knicks end up facing Cleveland or Boston, and it'll likely be Boston, and they go in and they get a split? Doesn't that make everything that you carried with you coming into this series meaningless?
So those are the storylines we're looking forward to, but we think it's going to be a couple of weeks before the storylines, or at least a week and a half, till we get to a game 7 in the first round where there's some intrigue. And that's just kind of how we're looking at the NBA playoffs. I've said it for years. The NHL playoffs, because of injury, become a war of attrition, and they may not get better as they go on. The NBA does. As you get to the finals in the NBA, it gets better. We have our poll question today. What's your favorite Easter candy? The Reese's Peanut Butter Egg running away from the competition. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton to vote. Today was a day when the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's next.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hey, Smoke It. We're not anti-NBA on this show. Our audience is far more anti-NBA than we are. We've just learned over the years, and that's why I took what you said to heart and give it a segment. We did another one earlier this week, but I think when we get to the second round, we'll start doing more NBA talk. And, you know, if the audience doesn't like it, they can always turn it off. It's their right to do so. But I just don't see the storylines, if you know what I mean.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour on this Good Friday, Easter weekend. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We will be back on Monday. I mean,
when are we not back?
Right. There's a day
it looks like we're taking May 2nd off. We are going to do a best of show on Friday, May 2nd. David has some things to do. And since he was going to be gone, it's my daughter's birthday. And I'm like, you know what? We'll take the day off. I can take her to school and see her that morning on her birthday. But May 2nd. And after that, it looks like July 4th.
Yeah. Maybe squeeze one in.
Well, Memorial Day. We'll get Memorial Day.
Right. That's true. But maybe. So, yeah. Otherwise, great show today. If you missed it, Steve Carney, Pat Kirwan, Pat Micheletti, Armando Velez. You miss any part of the show, go to millerandmoulton.com and download what you missed. And Steve, Pat, and Armando, and all our guests joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was the day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Call them today, 427-3441. That's 239-427-3441. Locations in Bonita and Naples. Online, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Miller and Moulton, and you get 10% off of your service. We start today in 1775. This guy named Paul Revere made a ride and warning that the regulars are coming. 8 years later, George Washington issues general orders announcing the end of the hostilities with Britain, giving thanks to the Almighty, offering congratulations, and authorizing an extra ration of alcohol to the troops to celebrate.
Never a bad idea.
Nope. David, I was going to get into this earlier and ask you, the free agent that signed with the wrong, that was offered the contract and signed with the wrong team. Because today in 1861, Colonel Robert E. Lee turns down the offer to command the Union armies. I don't know what the sports equivalent of that is, but I'll give you a second to ponder it as we move on. 1923, Yankee Stadium opens in the Bronx. The press nicknames it the house that Ruth built. He would hit a 3-run homer. Today in 1935, Gene Saracen's double eagle on the 15th wins him his second Masters. 1955, the first walk, don't walk lighted street signals are installed. Bill Russell becomes the first African-American coach in the NBA today in 1966.
And he was player coach.
Yeah. 87, your guy, even though he didn't play for your team, Michael Schmidt hits number 500.
Off Don Robinson. I think it was a 3-0 fastball. He got the green light. He killed it in Pittsburgh.
Unbelievable. Also today in 87, much more significant to me than the Mike Schmidt home run, was MTV debuted a new show acknowledging heavy metal. The Headbangers Ball debuted today in 1987. My friends and I thought that was the greatest show that was ever on television. 95, Montana announces his retirement. 98, Peyton Manning, the first pick of the Colts. 99, Wayne Gretzky plays his last game in the NHL as the Rangers lose 2-1 to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Actor James Woods is 78. Nate Archibald is 77. Rick Moranis, 72. Eric Roberts from The Pope of Greenwich Village, great movie, 69. Wilbur Marshall is 63. Conan O'Brien, 62. Derek Brooks, 52. And Miguel Cabrera is 42 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Conan looks pretty good for 62.
I agree.
Dick Clark died 13 years ago today.
and still owns every company that Ryan Seacrest works for.
I was going to say, it's still Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve, hosted by Ryan Seacrest, isn't it?
How hard can you rock if you're dead?
Well, Weekend at Bernie's, I mean, they were going at it pretty good.
Very true.
Besides, it's just one night a year, Mark. I mean, you just, save your energy for one night a year.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What do you got, Mark?
We go to Arizona for the good, where a 2-year-old boy somehow got out of his parents' house. Bowden Allen is the young boy's name. And they live in the high desert in Arizona, so he faced harsh conditions where temperatures drop overnight and predators, including mountain lions, come out. They searched through the night to find him. It was the next morning that they got the happy ending that they fortunately found. A ranch dog named Buford found the boy 7 miles away from his home.
Wow.
When the search was going on, they found or spotted 2 mountain lions. Not the kid, but the dog rescued the boy. He's back with his family, and everybody is happy and healthy. For the bad, we come back to Fort Myers, where Veronica Corcione was drunk. And she called 911. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. She said intruder and hung up. The 4th time she called, she said help and hung up. So police showed up at her house to find out that she was hammered and her boyfriend lived at the apartment and was not an intruder, but she was upset because her boyfriend would not give her her car keys due to her level of intoxication. She was arrested for unauthorized use of 911 services. And finally, the ugly, we go across the pond, where Everton in the Premier League has a new stadium coming. And when they had a event to show off the new stadium, a man videotaped himself stealing food from the new stadium. The fan was heard saying, "Adios, amigo," before walking away laughing and adding, "Well, the first man to officially do a Toby at Bramley Moore Dock." Toby is slang for theft. He was 62 years old. He's been banned for the stadium for life.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a tough one, and that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Friday, April the 18th, here on Miller and Moulton.
Well, there's no hockey tonight. Regular season ended last night. Playoffs begin tomorrow. NBA, 2 play-in games tonight. Heat Hawks, 7 o'clock, TNT in Atlanta. Winner faces Cleveland as the 8th seed in a best of 7, and they'll play Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Loser, season over. That's it. Done. Miami, a 1.5-point road favorite. 9:30 tonight, 4-letter network. Mavericks, Grizzlies. Memphis, a 6.5-point favorite. Winner gets OKC and needs to be ready to go Sunday at 1 o'clock. 4 NBA playoff games tomorrow, 4 on Sunday. If you're a Celtics fan, you play Orlando 3:30 Sunday. If you're a Knicks fan, you get the Pistons 6 o'clock tomorrow night. Lakers 8:30 tomorrow night. Golden State, by the way, 9:30 Sunday night for those of you who still watch Steph and the boys. If the Heat win and make the playoffs, they'll play Cleveland at 7 o'clock Sunday. Baseball, it's a Friday. Everybody's playing. Everybody's playing. Only one afternoon game. It is on MLB Network if you can't get it. Arizona and the Cubs. And Mark, even though we're about 19, 20 games into the season, there are not a ton of matchups involving winning teams this weekend. Arizona and the Cubs is one of them. So Seattle and Toronto, by the way, which can be found on Apple TV in certain places. Best series based on records is probably the Dodgers in Arlington to face Texas.
Phillies are playing the Marlins. Pretty good pitching matchup tonight. Alcantara and Wheeler. And Phillies minus 200.
It's in Philadelphia.
I know, but to get Sandy Alcantara with those kind of numbers, I
hear you. I know what
I
you're
know they're
thinking.
skidding. I know they can't score. I get it, but
Right.
you just typically don't get a good pitcher getting those kinds of odds.
I agree with that.
Rays and Yanks, home series for the Rays continues at Steinbrenner Field.
Right. Remember, Tampa Bay started 4-1. They're now 8-11. That means they've lost 10 of 14. And they are not kicking the you-know-what at home that they need to, that they need to do, we think, if they're going to have a chance to be a wild card contender this season.
But playoff action, whatever your sport is, basketball or hockey, you've got that. You've got the Heritage, which is an elevated event. Rory is basically the only name that's not there.
Right.
Where after winning the green jacket, which you can't say bad things about, but come on, how many of you would wear a green sport coat? They go to the Heritage where is it the Colonial in Texas that rank for maybe the worst jackets that they give you?
Oh, this one is tough to beat. This is the red and black checkered jacket. I mean, this is tough to beat. This to me is like the Steelers Bumblebee uniform. When I see this jacket, that's what I think of. I go, oh man, this is the worst. Now, others may see it and think it's not the worst, but man, when I see it, I go, man, this is so bad. I don't even know if I want to win 2-year exemption and all. I got to put that sport coat on.
David, there are people on bowl committees that look at the Heritage jacket and go, I wouldn't be caught dead in that.
Thank you. Thank you. And there are not many jackets you wouldn't wear if you were in charge of a bowl. But boy, if all of a sudden that bowl comes to Southwest Florida and you either get outvoted or you're not on the committee and that ends up being the jacket that you've got to wear when you're traveling around the country looking to put
whether it's the Hertz Bowl, the Arthrex Bowl, I'm not sure who's my title sponsor, but I don't care. I'll wear whatever jacket is necessary to bring a bowl game to Southwest Florida.
When you're in Eastern Michigan, scouting the MAC school that you're going to bring down here to face the Sun Belt school, you're going to wear that jacket? I dare you. But anyway, the whole, Peacock Golf Channel thing, I got that going on this week.
So that's a little look ahead of what's going on. For you in Florida, wanting to get Tampa and Florida started, not until Tuesday. Got a few more days to salivate over what should be a terrific series. But they get started tomorrow night. Colorado and Dallas is going to be terrific. 2 heavyweights battling in the first round. And then on Sunday, I'm fascinated by Ottawa and Toronto. I would love for Ottawa to get one of the first 2.
Totally.
And put pressure on the Leafs.
Absolutely. And our feelings, by the way, about these respective playoffs, I think would be radically different if the NBA's first round series was a best of 5.
Yes.
Then one road win dramatically changes everything.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Only in the first round, but obviously those days have come and gone. What's our poll question again?
What's your favorite Easter candy? The Reese's peanut butter egg is getting the majority of the votes at nearly 61% ahead of jelly beans, then the chocolate bunny, and the Cadbury cream egg coming in last.
We nearly went with Peeps, okay? And there are some who have wondered why we didn't go with Peeps. And Mark, what was that very scientific explanation you gave?
Peeps suck.
Well, there you have it.
That's why we didn't put them on. My wife will chastise me when I get home because she loves Peeps. I don't know. I don't get it. Miller and Moulton. Have a great weekend. We will do it all again Monday morning, 6 a.m. Miller and Moulton. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton